Start recording. Recording has started.
All right.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Rotating Tap Podcast.
Hi.
I'm Corey David.
I'm Steve Vanderplug.
And man, it's already been kind of a day. We're trying to get some stuff set up for our live shows. We got a few things coming out in February at Oscar Blues in Boulder and Flight Co in Berkeley. So if you've been to our Flight Co show before, we're gonna get that going again.
Back, baby.
Yeah, we have a plexiglass kind of wall that we have to have there. So it's got this like kind of fish globe kind of effect to it.
Nice.
Which is pretty sick. So we got some stuff in the works, but we were working on that earlier. But now
We're off of work. We're
Yeah.
drinking. We're on break.
we came on. We're on Broadway, right?
North Broadway,
We are
technically.
indeed. Yes.
I like this neighborhood a lot. There's a lot of breweries down here.
There are, yeah, it's nice. People can do a pretty easy kind of brewery crawl down Broadway.
I would say, I know that Lowdown's pretty close, but if I was doing a brewery crawl, I would start here at Banded Oak Brewing at 5th and Broadway. See, plugs. Great.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
plugging the guests that we have.
Great plugs.
Yeah, we're excited to be here at Banded Oak. We've already got a couple beers going. Everything tastes great. But could you guys just do us a favor and introduce yourselves and tell us what you do here? And
Sure.
If you don't know, then that's fine too.
Some days I don't, but today, my name is Chris Kirk. I'm the brewer here at Banded Oak. That's what I do. I make the beer. I jockey the barrels. Pretty much.
It seems like you're kind of a jack of all trades, though. Like you were out delivering kegs.
Yeah. Well, I was
recently, like 10 minutes ago.
We pulled them off the truck.
definitely.
We're like, hey, you need to be entertainer now too.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely try and get into all aspects of the brewery. They even let me work the front sometimes.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's scary. That's my gig.
Cool.
Yeah. My name is Will Curtin. Just the owner, front of the house manager, I guess. So Chris does all the back of the house stuff. I do all the front of the house stuff. It's just kind of an easy, good partnership that we've got going on for. Yeah, when you guys asked, it's been 5 years we've been up in this neighborhood, and it's changed a lot. Really great.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. There are a bunch of other breweries in the area. We've had Bear on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Friends of the pod. And of course, can't forget True.
Yeah, I heard those guys are weirdos. The one guy's like really into like heavy electronic music now. He's not even at like.
You pulled a Skrillex.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Decided to like pull a ripcord and just get heavy into electronic music. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of DJ Tiesto or something like that, but I don't think he had a brewery. If he did, though, it'd be hype as fuck.
That's what the T in True stands for. is
Yes.
Tiesto.
Yeah. Have you done any collabs with anybody on the block or anything? Or
So yeah, I mean, kind of by Lowdown, if we were to start a little bit further north, Counterculture is one of our favorites.
Oh, okay.
So we just have a collab that Chris and the brewer over there did. Was it Nate?
Yep, Nate.
Yeah.
Yep, Nate Watkins, and they're kind of the new boys on the block too. Newest around town.
okay, for sure.
They've been around about a year. Nate's been around for a long time, and I've been around kind of similar brewing styles and ideas. So we just kind of
makes sense.
we have a bartender that works at both places.
Okay.
We kind of brokered it. And
So it's kind of like a sister brewery, if you will.
Yeah, kind of. There's a lot of different things. They first kind of came over because our brew system, the actual manufacturer of the system, is the same as that they were looking for, and the same size. So it's made by specific, and they kind of came by and asked Chris questions about like how do you like it, how easily usable it is, and then we share a bartender. And when one day we were walking over, and Pedro and Jaime, some kind of street art guys did our mural, and on the back of their building is a Pedro and Jaime mural too. So there's all these
wow.
like
You're like-
hilarious little yes, we are very different, but a lot is the same.
Do they like look just like you guys too?
Right.
It's just like a parallel universe.
Yeah. They probably have beards. They're probably no.
They're doing a different comedy and beer podcast right
now. How do you guys feel? I had a conversation with somebody recently about collabs that because my takeaway from them sometimes, I've had so many, that I feel as if they're not the best representation of either brewery, and sometimes more often than not, I feel like you get not as great of a beer than you would have gotten from each individual brewery on their own. Like, is it more about you guys just kind of having fun together and learning something from each other, or is it really more? Is it about the consumer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's definitely a fine line. I think the one, and I'm not trying to kind of call anyone out, and this was for a collab fest a couple years ago, and I think it was a whole conglomerate of, not conglomerate, but multiple different breweries.
Name one of them.
I don't think I think they were making a beer for a collab fest, and something went wrong. Do you remember this? Something was either sour or it didn't taste right. It had all flavors.
Yeah.
And they decided to release it anyway because it was the festival.
It's an old brew now.
And you're just like, for whatever, the feel of it was like,
we know.
Yeah.
You guys fucked this up.
Yeah.
Everybody else kind of doesn't know.
We talk a lot about how there's parallels between comedy and beer, and there's definitely like times where I see comedians collaborate, and it's like, you should not have released this at all. Like,
right. I mean, I think they have to
This
play off
didn't
each
benefit
other.
Anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
They definitely have to play off each
You
other
always learn
very
something
well.
though, right? Yeah.
But what do you think? You think collabs are good or just for
Is it mostly for you guys to like smoke a J together and just like have a couple beers? I mean, that's fine.
Yeah,
too, you know what I mean?
no,
But,
like, I think it definitely depends on the collaboration. A lot of it is just like having fun, the camaraderie of it, getting together and just having the friendly craft, kind of culture of it.
yeah, it's like a hang.
Yeah, it's a hang, and hopefully you're making something good, and usually somebody's doing a lot more of the work, and everybody else is drinking,
New hire.
and you're running, and you get the J
You don't
while
sound-
you're running by.
You don't sound bitter. Yeah.
I'm definitely on the other side plenty of times. But a lot of them, they actually do have some sort of purpose behind them to either advance some sort of idea or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it seems like a great way to learn new techniques, or if somebody does one style or maybe a way to ferment like very well.
Yeah.
Then you can learn something from that because it's something you want to kind of expand upon yourselves, right?
Totally.
And then the
Yeah.
excuse is like, well, why don't we just make a beer together and then we can release it, sell it, and then that's at least the marketing thing as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
I assume too during the hang you're probably like sharing your other beers too, right? Like
Oh, of
you
course.
bring in
That's one of the
shit
biggest
that's already-
parts of it.
Yeah, you've already got brews.
Making this a
beers
hoedown.
brewed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Well, when I worked at Sierra, they did, do you remember the beer camp across America thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the first year, it was awesome because it was like 1v1 collabs, and I felt like you could really taste both of the breweries like in each beer.
Okay.
And then the marketing department got a hold of it, and they're like, well, how do we blow this up? And then they had 8 breweries involved with each beer that was in the mix pack from different regions of the country or whatever. Because they're like, well, how do we get the most hype out of this as
Right,
possible?
sure.
So the marketing department, the moral of the story here is that marketing departments ruin.
They really
Breweries,
can't.
yeah.
That's too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing there.
Yeah.
It's like, you really can't add that much uniqueness from like that. I mean, there's 4 ingredients in beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's
Sometimes.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, let's put this and this and this and this and this and this
Yeah.
in, and then it's like mud.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
wanted to use 4 different kinds of Pilsner malt here because Derry wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've had, homebrewers kind of come in and bring us beers like, can you taste this beer and kind of give us notes on it? And we're just like, and it's hit or miss. Sometimes
It's an open micer asking to review
Yeah,
their
This is
set.
exactly like an open mic running up to you and being like, hey, can
What do you think of this
Can I
joke?
run this joke by you? And I say no, and they do it anyway.
Oh.
I mean, you had times where you're like, I don't know if I have time right now. They're like, no, taste it. I brought
Right.
it in this milk jug.
Well, it's been fine-ish. But it just
You can
reminds
laugh,
me of
it's
like
fine. It was a good joke.
all the different brewers and all the like different ingredients. Like there was one guy that I kind of tasted it, and I like looked at him. I was like, "How many hops did you use in this?" And he was like, "Oh, I used like 7." And I was like, "Maybe use less."
Yeah.
You think you'd figure out how to do one first, pretty
Yeah.
well, before
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
went to
it's just
7.
simple can be better.
Well, similarly to, I think, probably part of that has to do with the fact that homebrewers see, especially new ones, they just see all their favorite breweries using a ton of different hops and huge concentrations and just shitloads of it, right? So they think that's what they're supposed to do. Right. Similarly, in comedy, newer comics tend to, they go after...
I'm gonna talk about cancer.
Right.
Like,
They go
oh,
after
no.
like the heaviest topics first
Yeah.
because they see the people that do it really well do it.
Okay.
So they just assume that they
Yeah,
have to do that as
interesting.
well.
Yeah.
Alright.
So you go to somebody at an open mic for the first time, and their set list is about abortion, gay marriage, transgender, and Blue Lives Matter,
topics,
or Black Lives Matter,
yeah.
and they ran the light by 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm running the lights like
and
you
then
were
they,
done.
And then they come up to you and they're like, "What did you think? How was it?"
To be honest, I was busy not paying attention to what you were doing, so that's where I stand with that.
Yeah, no, I think it was at Streets of London like a couple years ago, and they were doing like amateur night. And it was
Great
like,
open mic.
yeah.
Matt Kobos runs that open mic.
Friend of the pod, Matt
Usually
Kobos.
usually shows up late. But
Oh hell yeah, dude! Fellow, current, and fellow chuckle pucker, Matt Kobos.
We hope he quits, but yeah.
Quits what, the hockey team or comedy?
Both.
No! I need him for one of those.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, dude, that Streets of London mic was always, it started late to begin. It was a late night mic anyway, and then he would show up like an hour late. Like, yeah, dude, I just was at the club, had a couple beers, I'll be there in a couple minutes. But so you went.
Yeah, I went, and it was random. It was some like Red Rock show that Illegal Pete's was doing like a Therevac, so I went to the Illegal Pete's and just kind of walked to Streets just to grab a beer.
Yeah.
Wait for an Uber or something. And I think they were like 2-minute sets.
Yeah.
Like very, very short.
Yeah.
Like literally the first couple people were like, "This is the first time I've ever spoken to a mic," and it was like, "All right, let's see what this is."
Yeah.
And you just wasted 20 seconds of your 2 minutes.
Right.
Let's get that.
But there was one guy who just like was nervous and rushed a couple jokes, and I just remember like the last thing he said was like, "Man, 2 minutes is kind of a long time." And it was like, "All right." And that like kind of got my attention. Like, "Oh man, he just got full off stage."
You guys be like, 5 barrels is actually a lot of beer.
Right.
That's a ton.
It's a lot when you're pouring it down the drain, that's for sure.
Yeah, that didn't turn out like I wanted it to.
Yeah, it's like for early. So I guess early on for you guys, did your parents ever discourage you from being in the beer industry or like being brewers? Because we get like my mom and dad like have actually been really supportive of comedy, but they weren't as supportive of me being in the beer industry. So I think there are some parallels there where they're like, you want to do what for a living? Like, for money? Like you want to do that? Like you think people are gonna pay you for that?
Yeah, I don't know if there was ever discouragement, but there was definitely like, I don't know.
Some glances.
That's a nice jumping stone to get to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do for like an actual job?
Right, yeah.
No, I totally got not discouraged. It was just I used to be in insurance, which was a horrible job. And it was great. It paid well. It was fine. But the one thing that I had to like break down was like I had to wear a suit every day, and if I'm not buying suits, I'm not doing dry cleaning. I'm not really paying for booze. Like, not that it like is exactly even, but like kind of.
Yeah.
And so just the idea of
you look much more comfortable in this than a suit and tie.
Yes.
This seems like your natural essence.
Yeah, I'd still like I think about the fact that I wore a suit every day for 5 years. And it's like,
gross.
how is that possible?
Yeah, the fact that you had to put
understand.
a noose around your neck every morning
Yeah.
to like
It was
go to work
Yikes. It was rugged.
was fucking terrible. But that's nice you guys didn't really have to
What if
like.
I brewed in a suit every day?
That would be tight, actually.
Nobody does that,
Yeah.
right?
You can't wear the boots either. You gotta wear like nice low-cut
for
loafers.
sure, yeah. They have to be like waterproof and chemical proof.
stains all
but
over.
still,
Yeah.
It's only for like a special release beer though. So like when a comic puts out a comedy special, they'll go in a suit sometimes when they do late night. So it's got to be
Sure.
just for like a special occasion.
Okay.
Classy beers only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classy collaborations, maybe.
Saisons
Yeah,
exclusively.
Yeah.
It's the only way that you can go about doing that. So you worked in insurance, and then what kind of made you like get in? What made you do this? Was it just you just loved beer?
I did. Absolutely. I mean, I lived 4 blocks away from Great Divide a long time ago, and that was just where I went to kind of, drink the pain away, I guess.
Yeah, it was fun.
And so it was during the 08 kind of market crash where I worked for AIG, and we got bailed out, and so everything kind of became unfun because no parties. Literally, one Christmas.
Hey guys, bad news.
Yeah.
You all get to keep your jobs, and we're not gonna go bankrupt. But
Yeah.
no more sheet cakes.
One Christmas was in Golden, at a hotel, stay the night, +1, dinner, everything. Obviously, a calendar year, the next Christmas party was a potluck in our conference room. That was how
Ouch.
much it
Yeah.
shifted. And so
Still,
Did you
still
put-
as much cocaine or less?
Yeah.
less.
I would have definitely like put some weed in my food. I brought
Everybody
brownies.
gets one- everybody only gets one key bump at the Christmas party this year.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's weird how there were a lot of people in insurance that drank. I drank way more when I was in insurance than I
Sure.
did beer.
Oh, sure.
Like way more.
Yeah.
Just like Mad Men style, you
Oh,
do it
yeah.
throughout the day. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It was insane.
Chris, were you working? Did you work at another brewery or anything before here?
Yeah, I worked at like 5 or 6 other breweries. Yeah, I don't know.
Really, Vinny Testaverde of the beer scene. You're a journeyman.
I mean, we started together at the Great Divide.
Oh, okay. So you both. So you worked.
That's
at
how
Great
we-
Divide.
yeah, that's
I
how
didn't
we
know
met.
that. I thought you were just saying that you went and like were a regular.
Oh no, I got essentially bitched my way into getting a job there.
Nice.
And then
Turns out if
randomly-
you're
yeah.
regular enough, that's how I got my first bartending job.
Yeah,
It was just
exactly.
A local bar that I went to.
And then ended up running that tap room for about 4 years, and then that's where I met Chris.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I was brewing over there for. I worked over there for about 6 years, and then from there I worked at a little place in Winter Park.
Which one?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
called Moffat Station.
Okay.
Yeah, they brought me on to try and salvage what they had done to their reputation, and so I worked there for a little while and tried to bring them back online, and then I worked abroad for a while. I worked in Sweden for a little while.
Oh, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Really? That's cool.
Yep.
I mean, what spot were you working at there?
I was in a little town called Nyköping.
Okay.
It's about an hour and a half south of
I
Stockholm.
know Nyköping.
You know? Yeah.
No one does.
It's it's not a huge place, but nice brewery. One of the biggest craft breweries in all of Sweden.
Okay.
Is in Nyköping, which is where I worked. Called Niels Oskar.
How did you feel about like what are the brewing styles kind of like in Sweden? Because the reason I ask is because when I went to Amsterdam, I found it to be like this really unique hybrid of like German and Belgian styles.
Yeah.
Like it was this kind of it was its own thing clearly, but it had influence from both. Like did Sweden have something similar, or was it predominantly one or the other?
Kind of. It was definitely more German style.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that I was invited over there was to kind of bring my American style brewing there and try and
big gun, yeah.
and well, yeah, kind of teach them like kind of the styles brewing that I knew, and then
Yeah.
I learned the other side, like the German style brewing and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
You flew in on a bald eagle and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I left with a Viking helmet and
just a
but,
bag of hops over your shit.
Yeah.
You want some Cascade, motherfuckers?
And that's another thing, like using American style, like Northwestern hops varieties and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, did you find that it was a pain in the ass to get that shit over there, though? Because, I mean, obviously, exporting or importing that stuff had to be nuts. I don't know how the quality of stuff you were getting.
Just put it in the hockey players' bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it in Peter Forsberg's bag and have him smuggle it over.
That's
the border
actually
for
the,
you.
Pictures of Forsberg everywhere.
That's the history.
Awesome.
Yeah, in every bar, there's the famous picture of him that in the Olympic, that last
Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
sick.
yeah. Every single bar. Yeah.
Little known story about the history of IPA. It was actually a bag of hops and Peter Forsberg's
Yeah.
hockey
That's
bag.
what the B stands for. Hoppa, more like Fappa. Come on. All right. I'm done.
So you brew in Sweden.
Yeah. Yep. So I worked there for about 6 months, and then Will contacted me about getting a job here and starting this place up, and so that's one of the main reasons I left.
It was like that
Niels
quick?
Oskar.
You were like only there for 6 months and
It
then
was
you came back?
6 months. Yep.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. And then I did some small stints in South America, mostly Brazil.
man, you've really used this as a way to kind of globetrot a bit.
Like you don't get paid for it, so.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but you might as well use it as like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm really good at this thing. If you want to pay for me to like basically live there.
See, in
Yeah.
comedy we get paid in beer, so I guess in beer you get paid in comedy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Life and comedy.
All the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So
Do you guys
Did
still
that.
talk to people from Great Divide? Do you guys?
there's nobody there really.
Well, because I
anymore
know
that
they're
we knew.
closing down the big room that the big.
Oh
warehouse
yeah,
they
their big new
built.
purchase.
Well, the new
Yeah.
barrel room and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have some thoughts about like what happened or what's happening, right?
I mean, ish. It was kind of a mass exodus that when I left.
Yeah.
I bet if I could probably write down 40 names.
Wow.
Of people that left kind of around the same time.
Our
within a
crew was
year.
kind of the same, where I worked there for like 3.5 years, and when you first start, you're working in the beer biz, and it seems like it's fucking awesome, right? But then you slowly people just start to leave, and like at one point when I was 3 years in, I was one of like the longest tenured people on the sales team, right? So I don't know if it's something about regional sized breweries in particular, that they're going through a culture change and sales change. They're trying to be new things, so the culture just changes quite a bit. So and maybe the pay isn't enough for what amount of work they're putting you through or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that for Great Divide, but I'm saying that seems to be, from what I know about my experience and other people's experience, that happens with regional sized.
It does. It's this weird thing where I've heard it happen with Avery and a lot of other kind of breweries that same size. Is you come in and you have a honeymoon phase, and you really are like a true believer in the product and the community, and then multiple things happen where you're like, I might need to think about something else.
Yeah, and a lot of it too as soon as you decisions start to get made that don't even really make sense, and you're not even allowed to question it, even though that's like an integral part of your job, that becomes difficult as well, right?
Totally.
Those growing pain phases of becoming more corporate.
Corporate shills.
Yeah, it sucks.
Coming in trying to sell me insurance.
Yeah, it goes from like a lifestyle and living to just like get to your job, do your job, and get out.
Yeah, I'm sure you noticed that tons on like the brewing side. I don't know how much opportunity you guys had to like flex your muscles at all, but with bigger breweries, there's fewer and farther opportunities to, other than stuff that might make an appearance in the tap room.
For sure.
It's pretty fucking hard to be like,
Yeah.
hey, I have a great idea for something. That's cute.
Yeah, that's
And
nice,
the marketing department decided that we need to make this, so we're gonna roll with that.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Titan, IPA, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And then maybe something else.
Well, with Titan too, like I don't know, I've talked to a few people about this, but like with my thing was like, I love Great Divide's beers. I think that everything's pretty well done, but they didn't really, their opportunity to pivot came when they released like Denver Pale Ale at a time when Pale Ales really weren't taking off, like hazy IPAs were taking off and a few other things, and it wasn't even a hazy IPA, right? So you're going down a Pale Ale route that isn't really blowing up, and then your flagship IPA is a total malt bomb. Like it's just, they didn't seem to do well with keeping up like with the times, so to speak, and pivoting that way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was a huge fan of Samurai the first run, and then I loved it, and then they were just like, you know what, no more, and they've brought it back since, and I'm kind of like, well, I don't. You had me and you stabbed me in the back. I'm not trying to get
Literally with a samurai sword, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even tried it since they brought it back. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same original or whatever. But
Yeah, and not to put you guys on the spot, we're not trying
Oh,
to
no,
talk shit about,
absolutely.
Like, Great
It's,
Divide or
it is
anything.
that
It's
kind
just-
of fine line.
Yeah,
You're
it's one
not
of those
trying
things,
to.
yeah, we're just things that I've noticed about like why they've had to pull back and maybe scale down a little bit and stuff. It's just
For sure.
more observations at large.
like, I don't even know anybody there anymore.
Yeah.
So they turned around everybody. I don't
Yeah, so
know
there's
what's
like no.
going on.
So that at
Yeah.
that point, the attachment is gone, right? Because one of the reasons why beer and comedy are so meaningful in our lives is because it's really the people, right?
It is. Totally.
You have an attachment with the people that are behind the brands, behind the shows, behind all the stuff that you're making, because you're doing it together, and it's the personalities that really make you want to work in a place.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of, make good beer, people will show up. It needs to be a fun place to hang out. There needs to be a good bartender, good service.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, if you play horrible music or you're rude or people have, a bad customer interaction, yeah, you can have good beer at a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But it needs to be a lot of different things to click to
Yeah.
actually be a fun hangout spot.
Absolutely. When you're putting together a comedy show, man, if you put together a great lineup and everybody gets along well, everybody's killing it, everybody's very good at their jobs respectively at
You
the
can
brewery,
feel it for
man,
sure.
yeah, the
You
energy
can
is
tell.
just, it's wild.
Yeah.
It really makes the essence of a place. So,
And then you'll have a show where you have all that, but one dude who's just stuck up and miserable, and you can feel that vibe shift immediately.
Yep.
They're just kind of a diva about like, well, this wasn't in my. I asked for 3 drink tickets and I only got 2, so I'm gonna flip my shit.
I was on going.
Yeah.
But what do you guys do here to make sure that happens? to make sure that like the culture is good and like the essence of Banded Oak is what someplace people want to work at. Or
Totally. I mean, a lot of it is just just trying to stay positive, and especially with kind of COVID and being safe and having everything distant and everyone just kind of feeling good. We were lucky enough to get 6 parking lot spaces to it's a COVID variance. So our patio goes into our parking lot, and so this summer we could have live music on Saturdays, and everyone could be really far away from each other and feel safe in an open air environment and still listen to live music.
Right.
Yeah.
And the biggest compliment we got last summer was like, man, this almost makes me feel that COVID isn't happening.
Yeah,
and
summer
that
was
just
summer
oh my
was
God.
great, right?
That was
Because
amazing.
everybody had the flexibility to use outdoor space,
Right.
And it was like, this is kind of normal. There was a period of time, maybe right before we kind of canceled our outdoor shows that we were doing over the summer, and ski resorts hadn't opened yet, so we didn't have any shows going on, and I wasn't really able to do anything. I was like, man, this is actually the only sad time I've had during this whole deal. Yeah. It was pretty rough to not be able to do outdoor stuff anymore.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, we had a show this past weekend. That was great. And just we got lucky with the weather. It was super sunny.
Tight.
A bunch of people showed up, so it was kind of like this weird kind of summer vibe Saturday. That,
You do live music here?
We do, yeah. I mean, it's very sporadic. It's when the weather.
This time of year it has
This
to
time
be,
of year, absolutely.
Because this weekend it's supposed to be 10 degrees all weekend. Right. It's gonna be terrible.
Real bad.
Then last week was 60, right?
Yeah. It was, and so it fluctuates between super nice and fucking awful.
But can people just look at your Instagram or Facebook and find out if y'all are
Totally.
doing shit?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're doing more food trucks. We do essentially food trucks every Saturday. It's really busy. Yeah, I mean, we just try to get a good vibe. There are a lot of people, bartenders in the past kind of listen to your woes, and now you can kind of feel the people that live alone, where just the cadence in their voice, they're just like, hey man, what's going on? And you're like, ooh, they haven't talked to someone for days.
Something. Hey, tell me.
Let's have a podcast, huh? Oh shit.
But no, it's just a new thing we have to not deal with, but it's providing a service, and we're as long as people are enjoying the beers and enjoying conversation, it's been great.
Yeah. Were you saying that I was desperate for attention, or that Will was desperate for attention?
I was clearly pointing my thumb at you.
What am I desperate for? What are you talking about? We've had a good thing going. We do this every week.
Why are you so defensive about it, huh?
I just don't know if I'm maybe exhibiting a trait that I didn't know that I was. So. That's fair.
No, you're bringing us down too much. So let's get to some jokes,
Me?
huh? I'm just fucking.
No, that's okay. So let's chug some beer.
Sure.
We usually like to get to that pretty early on in the show. You got your phone?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, do the time. Yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's really
really more
good
about
now.
being in the spirit of competition than actually
So-
competing.
I was kind of doing my due diligence on listening to some of your old pie, and for whatever reason, I guess I heard it different. So I thought the whole chugging beer thing was you chug a beer to get time off your joke telling time, and the whole competition was to tell
Don't
the
we all
fastest joke possible. And so I was like,
Which
oh
is-
yeah,
That's
all
a
right.
good rule of thumb for most comedians. So we're
Yeah.
glad that you brought that up. You
Yeah.
should make this.
Yeah.
You should make the joke as short as possible. No, that is not.
Sorry,
Get
so that was
factored
totally
into time.
100% my bad. So
That's okay.
I gave Chris back.
So for anybody listening to the show and people on the show, we have a chug leaderboard that is timed based on when the beer hits your lips and when you finish it. That's the only timed part of the segment. But we do make you tell a joke immediately after you're done chugging, just because we found that it's more funny that way.
If the joke goes on too long, though, we'll let you know for that as well.
I got some snappy ones. I'm prepared for.
Chris, you're sweating this a little bit. You're like, I gotta find a joke. I don't have a joke. You
You got a joke.
Come on, man. You're a
The
personable
previous
guy.
joke.
You gotta
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a good stock joke that you can tell people.
Yeah, a Stockholm, Sweden joke.
Yeah. Hey.
Damn.
You just took it from me.
So who is number one? I'm curious. In the time.
Number one is Matt, who has been a manager at the Pint Room
Okay.
Down Littleton, right?
down in Littleton. Yes. However, they are closed right now, so
So not so
he's
much
very bored.
manager anymore.
He's very bored.
I'm sure if we called him for a podcast, he'd be like, podcast?
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll do it. So what's the time though?
1.62 seconds.
It's with 3
overall?
seconds off.
Ah, okay.
Oh no, sorry, it's 0.63 overall.
What?
0.63.
Yeah,
so
so
it's
he did
3.63.
He did 3.63 seconds. It's over 8%. So
What's
we
the
got
10th best time right now?
10th best time. Actually, let me look on here. It's
Sorry.
more up.
Because we've got, right now we've got about, we're close to 100 chugs.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a pretty big board.
Yeah.
I'm
How
not
much
gonna
has to go in your face?
Yeah.
None.
Oh.
We haven't had anybody exercise that loophole yet, but this might be the time.
All right.
Yeah, there's yeah, we're in the brew house right now. There's drains in here.
Yep.
We should probably put a qualifier that at least a sip of the beer has
Yes.
to go in your mouth. An
Sip all
attempt,
of
Yeah.
an attempt has to be made, you know, at least in some regard. Did you got the 10th right?
I'm trying. My my Wi-Fi's.
I just wanted to give these guys a goal. to
Oh yeah,
shoot
no,
for.
I'm not good at chugging.
Yeah.
But it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
Who-
I'm in my work clothes. I've been covered in beer all day.
yeah, you're fine.
So
Oh
not too
man,
worried
that was always
about-
one of the
yeah.
worst when I was delivering and you'd have to set like hook up the keg for an account or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And you get blasted.
Oh, yeah. And it's always dark beer for whatever reason. It's never like light beer. You just like come out and you're just like,
Yeah.
covered in stout.
We used to work with a guy. We call him Money Shot now.
Every
time.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
Or it's like a European coupler on like a US
Oh, yeah.
US keg.
Yeah,
and you
that
change it.
Never works.
Oh my god! Out you get pulled over. You're like, "Were you drinking?" You're like, "I wish."
I always wanted
I tried
to
to.
tell me that. Like, you smell like a brewery. Like, oh.
Especially the times where you go home and you're like dead sober.
Yeah.
And it's just like you get pulled over, you know you stink like beer. You're like, I'm gonna sobriety test. You're like, bring it on.
You see a cop in the rearview mirror, you're like, do it, motherfucker! I dare you! You ain't catching me for shit.
Just act drunk.
10th overall right now is at 2.49 seconds. That's Evan from Knotted Root.
Yeah. Damn.
I'll
But
make that
I think
either.
all of these have that 8-second caveat on there now.
I believe they
I'm sorry,
do.
that 8%
8%.
caveat, yeah.
So we are not drinking 8%.
That's okay.
We're doing the Crybaby Cream Ale. It's at an even 5.
Yep.
So no big deal. It's
Tight.
nice, light, easy drinking.
Yep.
Great.
Talk about it in a sec. Who wants to go first?
Go
Sure.
for it.
Looks like it's Will.
Cheers.
Handle it. You can do this.
I'm so bad at chugging.
I got a lot of faith in you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Not bad. Looking pretty good right now.
Actually, yeah, this is not
It's a respectable check.
He's
But
peeing
he
on
also
himself.
tried to catch
So
some.
he's got to take a break.
Little
All
gutter
right. Well,
action.
now we're getting up there.
Ah,
Tighten up
see?
that lip.
I know.
And he was ripping on the guy from 10 Barrel for having over a 2-minute chug.
2 minutes.
2-minute chug, yeah.
All right. Wow. That
Feel
was
free to burp into the microphone if you want.
Yeah, right.
that was a thing that I witnessed. I'll give it that.
Yeah, not great. I never claimed to be good at that.
Yeah, we know. You prefaced it pretty
Oh
well.
yeah. So one of our bartenders left. One of the things he wanted to do on his last day was shotgun a crowler, and that was brutal.
That's a big endeavor.
That's
Yeah.
hard, yeah.
It was 32 ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain.
That was rough.
How did it go?
And I believe it was
It was-
Imperial Stout, right?
What?
No, we did light.
Oh,
I think we did Goza.
Sounds like a nap.
I know that
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did. He chugged the crowler of.
But we
of
left
Tonga.
it. Yeah, we left it out. We left it room temp for a day, so it wasn't a ton of cold liquid going in your body, which was a smart idea. I didn't even think about that. That was his idea.
Yeah,
But,
gotta run the jet.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, the beers that always seem to work the best are actually your lower carb. It
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be high ABV, but then the
Low
lower
carb,
Yeah.
warmer.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
people always think because it's a lighter beer, it's like, oh, this will be easier. But it's higher carb, so you get
Yeah.
choked up a
No,
little
no.
easier.
Yeah, when we were up at Casey and I chugged that sour beer, I was like, this is the easiest thing I've ever fucking chugged.
Yeah, because it was just, I mean, all of his beers are literally like jam. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
literally
Yeah.
raspberry preserves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Never would have thought to chug that.
Yeah. Well, what do you got for a joke?
So I guess I was going for speed. So I have inappropriate, dated joke, or blonde joke.
We can do both.
We can do both.
We can do both.
All right. So inappropriate, dated joke. What did the woman say to Michael Jackson at the beach? Sir, could you please move? You're in my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would not say inappropriate. I would say accurate.
Yeah. Quite witty.
The other one was
Touch of a
just
secret. Literally a touch.
yeah. My favorite blonde joke was that a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead are in the baby doctor, the OBGYN waiting room, and the brunette says, "I was on bottom, so I'm gonna have a boy." And the redhead's like, "I was on top, so I'm gonna have a girl." And the blonde stands up and goes, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have a dog." Stupid joke. Real
That's
good.
fun though.
Yeah, I like it.
Blonde jokes are timeless and they don't come up enough.
Yeah.
And really,
It's
there
probably
was
not
like
PC right now.
I don't know why
That actually should be more than most. Because if you're just picking on somebody because of hair color, like that's I think that's totally within bounds.
Yeah.
Especially because some people
Yeah, next
choose
comes
to be
picking on
blonde.
somebody because of their skin color. Yeah, okay, Corey.
What are you talking about? With somebody that chooses to have blonde hair?
Oh, I mean, not everybody chooses though.
Of course.
You
That's
got
the
some
thing.
blonde there.
I do have some blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or why? Are you getting defensive about this?
I'm gonna have a dog.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's the
I
stuff
wish
that's-
I could have a dog. Fuck.
It's the,
Goddamn landlord.
it's the stuff that's kind of true that hurts the most.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why Steve just got
Cut Steve.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we didn't choose this. You identify as a
Blonde.
blonde person, I get it.
I would call myself dirty blonde in the sexual way.
Yeah, we'll ask Mackenzie about that next time I see her.
Yeah.
No, he's just blonde.
She's blonde.
Pretty much standard missionary blonde.
I told you she was stranded. My girlfriend is stranded in Nebraska right now.
Yeah.
Her and my her sister and her sister's fiance were driving back to Nebraska. The car broke down, and they are stuck there for a week. So
Gnarly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
the hell
And
they do
Steve
that
was
car?
like, hey, I got a podcast to do, so I'm sorry.
so I'm not driving out there to get you. All right, Chris.
What do you got,
Yeah.
bud?
All right.
Same beer, right?
Same beer.
Same beer.
Yep.
I just sampled it. It's very good. Thank you. It's very crisp.
What was the time?
We'll give
We'll
it.
tell
We'll give
you.
it after.
Oh, okay.
It's a low bar. I'll say that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
What
that
does
was
that
every
mean?
second.
Yeah. Chris, you were here the whole time. You saw. You saw what we saw.
Can I stand up to check?
Yeah, whatever you
Oh,
want to
damn it.
do.
Yeah, I got it. You get
Gotta
that.
ask
Yeah.
questions.
We're very flexible on the rules here. If you have a
You
beer
can
bong
stretch
here,
if you need.
you can do that.
We do not, but that would probably be.
I've actually
You
been
can
surprised.
beer
There's
bong.
literally been no breweries that we've been to that have a beer bong.
I haven't seen one
I haven't
for
seen one in
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially because of COVID now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah.
That's the best part about working here. Everybody gets their own personal beer bong.
That'd be good.
It's your 1 year anniversary.
Yeah. When I was like 23, 24, sorry to make you stand there with this beer, but I made a
okay, I
bet with a
understand.
buddy, and he was like, you can fit 5 beers in a regulation ultimate frisbee, and I was like, no fucking way, and you cannot. And he's like, yeah, because of the meniscus, and I was like, there's no way 5 beers. So I bet him that we'd pour beer in there, and whoever lost the bet had to drink the beer, and he got 5 beers in a fucking frisbee, and I had to drink beer out of a frisbee for sure.
Well, you know if somebody said that,
can't
they've
picture
tested
that.
that.
Dude, it is wild to see, but
Yeah.
you can totally fit 5 beers into like a regulation frisbee.
Weird. Good to know. We'll have to remember that the next time we play disc.
That's not a regular.
That's not regulation, but you can probably fit one in there for sure.
All right,
All right.
standing up, ready to go.
2 hands
Yeah.
for safety.
It's a real girthy one. You gotta double wrap it.
Anytime.
Anytime,
Anytime.
yeah, we're waiting for you.
All right.
And action.
Oh, yeah.
Consistent
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Little drip, but that's
Some
okay.
drips,
He's
some
got the work
drips.
jacket on. He's looking good.
Yeah,
That's a
way better.
pro.
Pretty good. Yeah, you feel good. Now tell us a joke, funny man.
He's got to recover first. I don't think he knows where he is right now. I just saw it. Yes! Belchability is an important factor in check. Doesn't take any time off, but I actually do want to get one of those like amplitude kind of things where you can gauge like somebody's burp off of it.
Oh,
Not a
yeah,
burp
decibel.
specifically, a decibel reader.
Like they have at like sports arenas.
Yeah. All right, I gotta write that one.
Note to self.
Decibel reader.
Okay. So I wasn't prepared for this either. So I have some sort jokes. They're real bad.
Like midget jokes or like quick in time?
I wish. So, two peanuts walk into a shady bar. One of them's assaulted.
Nice.
Get it?
I like that.
Salted peanut.
Yeah.
I like that.
You get it? You got it. Yeah.
That's the key.
You always gotta repeat the punchline. Always gotta repeat.
Now
the
we're
punchline.
talking. Yeah.
Because it's never mind.
That's the best telling good joke. So that's that. Did you have more?
Did you hear about the circus that's in town? It's intense.
Yeah.
Like
So it's
circus
camping.
tents? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to repeat that one too.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said? I said it's in.
It's in.
Like a circus.
Did you hear about the circus that had peanuts that were assaulted?
Yeah, bring it all the way around.
Oh, it's fun.
Sorry.
All right. So what do we got? What do we got for these guys for times?
Well, unfortunately, neither of them are going to crack the top.
That's okay.
No, I wasn't.
I'm just
Top
glad.
25.
I'm proud of myself that I remembered to bring that up because sometimes we'll go like 30 more minutes and be like, oh yeah, we got to give them like their times.
Yeah, sometimes we like to leave you hanging on. Chris,
Yes.
how do you think you did?
In your heart.
In your heart of hearts.
How do you feel like you?
I think I got like at least under 6 seconds.
Okay, well, no, that's not true at all.
False.
You got 10.3 seconds,
Shit.
Ooh.
which
Okay.
puts you overall out of 92 chugs, puts you in spot number 62.
Not bad.
Damn.
Out of how many chugs?
I'm gonna be in the
92?
80s for sure.
That's really not.
Yeah,
That's not that bad.
well,
That's
you came in at 9.9, which puts you in 76th place.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, 19.9.
I was
about to say,
Wait a second.
I was like, wait a minute. I saw the same thing.
I'm
you guys
reading
saw.
all these numbers and I just said it wrong. 19.9.
Yeah.
So you just knocked out Alyssa from Dragon Mountain.
Yeah. Get out of here.
For the worst?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
For the 76th position. You just moved ahead of her. Is that what you were trying to say?
All right.
Yeah. So, impressive in some ways.
We're happy.
Sure.
We're happy you guys are here.
So we're in the back
Do we
room
need
here.
beers?
Yeah, I'll take dealer's choice.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Yes, we should probably talk about beer at this point. We haven't really done a ton of that.
Yeah, no worries.
So, the cream ale that you guys just chugged, why a cream ale? I mean, is it mostly because you want to have a light lager-ish type thing on that you just don't want to tie up the fermenter base with, or?
Have it on, not really for fermenter space, just to have an option.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you guys do you do any lagers or?
we do.
Okay.
Typically, we do a
Usually
lot
have
of
one,
waters. Yeah. But yeah, this was just an easy, quick turnaround light beer option. That came out extremely well.
Yeah, it's
Great.
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 That is it's weird. I personally had to change the way I thought about like beer and different styles and seasonal stuff and what stuff we want to keep on year round.
Yeah.
Because for me, I drink the weather. I drink light beer in the summer and dark beer in
Yeah.
the winter.
Sure.
And there are a lot of people that drink very dark beer in the summer and
Those people
Yeah.
are psychopaths.
Like Ted
Yeah.
Bundy.
Yeah, exactly.
Big stout
John
guy in
Wayne
the middle of
Gacy.
July.
And so with our stout, like a Tunga, that was going to be a winter seasonal for a while, and then we ended up releasing it in the summer, and it sold amazing. And that's 9+ ABV imperial stout.
Well, if you just do something really well, it doesn't really have a season, right?
Totally.
It's just people want that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for this, it was just let's do a light beer in the wintertime and change it up a bit.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Really just throwing stuff out
What
there.
do we got?
The darker one's the porter, and then you've got the blood orange goza.
Ooh.
So if you guys are flexible, or if you want to negotiate and
No,
swap,
that sounds
whatever,
great.
but
Yeah.
I know your palates.
Yeah. Well, thank you very
you
much.
guys good?
You want a beer?
Sure.
You pass me that glass. Which one?
Roasty.
Out of Johnny.
Johnny.
What is it?
They're
Johnny,
say
cool.
Jenny.
I think you said
I was
Jenny.
like, yeah, like a Jenny Bach, baby. Look at that cream ale in here.
Yeah, Jenny Cream.
So for the size of brewery that you guys have a pretty extensive barrel process going on here. Like
We tried. It's,
Yeah, it's
not
pretty-
a lot of space.
it's
Yeah.
pretty packed in here with barrels. Is
Yeah,
that
we're using one. It actually has beer in it. Pull the nail on this guy. Let's get a geyser.
That would be insane. But yes.
it's a lot of Tetris work and a lot of rotating and trying to get fresh barrels in and fresh old barrels out.
Do you guys package anything?
Very rarely. We try to have a bottle of something. We do just a 750,
Okay.
25 ounce bottle of something.
Yeah.
But
Is it usually something you guys have barrel aged?
it is.
You're gonna go
Yeah.
through that
If we
effort.
do the bottle and we do the label and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be barrel aged
Yeah.
or sour or something a little funky.
Yeah, a little bit more unique. Not unique, but just limited. Something you
Limited
guys
in labor. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time. So what would you guys say your style is? Like, what are you as a brewery? Because to Steve's point, you got a bunch of barrels jammed in here. We had a cream ale, we had a single hop West Coast IPA, we've got a porter right now. Like, do you try to have a niche, or do you just try to be good at a bunch of things?
Yeah, really try and be good at a bunch of things. Usually get some pretty good compliments on the variety of our menu. So we do go all the way from just light lager beers to like extremely strong barrel aged beers.
Yeah.
And everything in between. So that's something that like I like to not back myself into a corner as the brewer. Like I can play with every style, play with all kinds of different stuff, and it's. I
So
think
is it just kind of like whatever you feel like brewing that week? Like you just wake up and you're like, this is what I want to do?
well, kind of. I mean, definitely that's how the business started.
Yeah.
It's like we don't know what people are gonna want and what people are gonna like from us. We have our barrels kind of focus that we're doing, and then we also need the clean side of stuff. And as time has gone on, we've developed our kind of staple beers and our seasonal rotators that people are always expecting.
Yeah.
But I also I also play a lot with different stuff.
Yeah, you just get to fuck with it. Is it a lot of that has to do with the fact that because it's smaller scale, like you get
That's majority of the reason we get to play around.
Were you guys doing any? I mean, I know you were just delivering kegs, but has distribution been like a big part of the business?
No, zero.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID. We were pre-COVID probably in 6 to 8 kind of bars and
So
restaurants.
not a ton, but like you have some core accounts that
right.
you really like,
And now
Yeah.
we're essentially at zero.
yeah.
So we were delivering kegs to
Do you want me to go talk to some of these accounts? Get the strong arm?
No, I mean, it was kind of a choice on our part. In this winter especially, even if COVID hadn't happened, we were we're going to slow down manufacturing just for probably a month here while we switch up kind of where we brew. Not to be kind of cloak and dagger about it, but we're switching up a lot of what our brew house will look like and our barrel storage and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I smell a new comedy club, huh?
Sounds like a potential show. So has there been like do you guys have any? Because have you both done like the sales side of things where you're delivering kegs and talking to accounts and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys have any anecdotal kind of shit that you've run into just from like dealing with buyers? You don't even have to name names, but just like you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or just some ridiculous shit you've run into?
It'd be real nice, to drop a keg and like let somebody else take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially around Denver, cellars are in the basement, down crazy staircases that are extremely treacherous.
Do you ever have to drop them through like the hole on the sidewalk? You ever have to do one of those?
There's in the past I
The
have
one in the
not-
Springs was essentially you had to hook it on like literally a hook on the side, and you had to lower it down into like a hole.
A dungeon, basically. Yeah, they're like, put the lotion on your skin.
Yeah. It was a place that actually went out of business. I totally spaced on the name of it right now. But they just kind of COVID-wise kind of called it quits.
Yeah.
And I think sold that building.
One of my favorite bars back home where I lived in New York, Desperate Danny's, they had a little sidewalk hatch type thing. They literally had a couple tires like below the hole, and the owner would just be like, "Yeah, just drop it down," and he's like, just kicking it.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, having to have like a dolly or two wheel or whatever, and just like take this thing down like a set of stairs that somehow
It's as
has
wide
like
as you
6
and-
kinks in it, and you're
Yeah.
like, how does this? Who designed this?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's
with-
always fun.
Do you stretch a lot for your back?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it
Just
is.
gotta-
Yeah. Yep.
No,
Just
I mean,
cry afterwards. Drink
yeah,
a beer.
it's hard. I mean, it's
Well, so most of the consumption was on site. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically all on site.
Exactly. And I mean, that's kind of the goal, is to have people come here, once again, talk about like, create an atmosphere, people want to hang out.
Yeah.
And that's where we get most of our margin. I mean, that's, when you get into packaging, you think about, you know, an $80,000 canning line or bottling line, you think about how many people need to run that line, so the payroll, and your overhead just goes up, and then you have to sell much more beer just to make $0.
Yeah.
And we've tried to keep overhead as low as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to make a bar that you could go and hang out at, and
Totally.
be like the neighborhood establishment.
Right, and I mean, one of the things, you know, people always ask, like, what's your favorite part about working at a brewery? And it's fresh beer. Like, for me personally, I love that I can pour, like, you know, a beer that's a couple hours old.
Yeah.
Or a day
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Like, that's a perk. And so we want to try to turn beer as fast as possible so customers have that same experience of this
Yeah.
beer's a day old.
Also with COVID too, like the keg thing is not. Like kegs in house are fine, but like sending kegs out other places, they're sitting there for so long,
Right.
before anybody's going through them.
Yeah, it's a lot of 6 kegs, like 5 gallons, if you're going to be sending out anything, right?
Well, no, and it's also just the simple math of like, you know, keg is 110 beers, 115 beers, you know, without foam or whatever, and you sell that for 165, 170 bucks.
Sure.
And then you sell it here at 100 beers is $6 a piece, so you're selling it here for 600.
Totally different game.
Where you're just like, no.
Yeah, distribution is not even necessarily about margin at that point. It's a lot of a marketing smart, right?
Totally.
So yeah, you are making money for essentially just having somebody. Well, if you're doing self-distribution, then it's still you guys putting in the work. But if you go through a distribution network or whatever, then it's like, all right, we're just sending you the beer, and we're making money off of it, right? We don't have to do a ton of the work. It's supposed to be quote unquote the
The distributors.
Yeah, because
Right.
distributors are amazing.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't do anything wrong.
Breweries that have like crazy hype, you know, they can put out beers to different, you know, bars and they sell like crazy.
Sure.
But that hype is very rare, and you
Yeah.
have to really work on your brand and
And
kind
even
of
then,
cultivate that.
it's
Yeah.
like kind of for a lot of places, it's short-lived. That hype goes away real quick.
Agreed.
Just like comics.
Yeah.
Some people make a splash and you're like, they kind of
yeah,
suck,
no,
but I don't know why
totally.
they're getting booked a lot, and it happens.
A lot of
Yeah, let's
comics
talk more
will.
about comedy.
Well,
There-
no, I mean, we have people, there's people all over in various scenes across the country that you're just like, why are they getting spots? Like, why are they getting big opportunities when the comedy isn't necessarily great? They might serve like a niche, they might satisfy something that somebody's looking for or whatever, but the content isn't there. And I guess the difference would be, so I think with comics, sometimes that'll phase out, and then with beers, sometimes like hype breweries just kind of stick around because I think a lot of beer consumers tend to be kind of plebes and they're kind of idiots at times, where they're just gravitating towards, I heard this brewery was amazing, I don't really know what beer is, so I'm just going to gravitate towards something that's really sweet.
Can I
and less
try
on
your
the palate.
seltzer, please?
Yeah.
Or just like, can I have this lactose hazy IPA that doesn't have any bitterness to it? And at that point, you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know, like, what,
I mean, you see comics and breweries both where it's like, okay, so you got like a couple fucking hard hitters that everybody loves. Your comics get a good 5 to 10 minute set, and then they coast on that for 3 years, and everybody's over it.
I feel attacked
Like-
again.
Yeah. Corey has her in a new joke in 6 years.
Is there anything like to the backing of it? So like, you know, it's not like what you know or what you show, but who you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, a lot of it's a lot of
Uh,
connections for sure. That's how you make your way kind of through. But it seems to be based in merit, right? Like if you're just good, if you're good, then you meet better people, and better people want to work with you. A lot of times, it's
Yeah.
the people that are above you that are the ones that are giving you the opportunity.
Yep.
So if you excel when you have the opportunity, and somebody saw you, like that has more prestige, or they have clout and stuff, they're like, hey, I'm doing this show, you should get on it, or I'll get you on it, you want to open for me, like that kind of thing. So the gatekeeping process with comedy is different than a brewery in that regard.
Yep.
In the sense that the opportunities that are afforded to you a lot of times are based on the people that are above you and then bringing you along. kind of
No, totally. I mean, I went to like a Chappelle like secret show a couple years ago that was at God, what was the name of the Summit Music Hall? Josh Blue opened.
Yeah.
And just seeing that, I mean, obviously it's a lot of like big names, but like the fact that it was like a local Denver guy and it wasn't someone just kind of rolling with Chappelle was interesting.
Well, especially because Josh is a headliner in his own right. You know?
Right.
Like he's
Yeah.
probably one of, if not the most famous, one of the most famous comics out of Denver. Depending on what avenue you go down,
Totally.
like and how people perceive you as famous. I mean,
I
there's,
would
like,
argue to like the American general public, he is the most famous comic to come out of. Well, the most famous non-canceled comic to come out of Denver.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I just mean,
TJ Miller would be the other
TJ
one.
Miller. That's it.
I.e. canceled.
yeah. But right now, with like who we have in the scene, it'd be like Josh, Sam Talon, Nancy Norton, Adam K. Holland.
Ben Roy, all the Grolics really.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a small group. So to have a really big local headlining comic and they're opening for somebody like Chappelle, that's a killer show.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dynamite show. I don't even know sometimes people, and with comedy, and maybe with beer too, like somebody walks into Bandit Oak and says they're just here for a beer, right? But they might not even know that, like, man, you're getting like one of the best breweries in town. You know, like does that ever cross your
Subjectively.
guys' mind at all?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like somebody's walking in off the street, they're just like, hey, we were just looking for a brewery,
Mm-hmm.
but then you guys are like, yeah, well, we're legit. Like, we're one of the best breweries in town. Like, you're not just showing up to any brewery.
No, I totally agree. Like, it goes both ways. So, I think it's obviously subjective, and I think the whole like customer experience is a huge deal in the quality and the enjoyment of beer. Sort of like the honeymoon effect of if you're on your honeymoon or you're on like a epic trip and you taste this bottle of wine, and obviously you're having a good time, you're abroad, and then you grab that bottle and you're like, I'm gonna bring this back for my friends,
Yeah.
and you bring it back and you pour it and everyone's like, this is shit. But you were like on the beach somewhere in Italy, like
Right.
obviously that's gonna taste delicious.
Top of
'Cause,
the
like,
beach, yeah.
yeah, like this is amazing.
Yeah.
Should be factored.
So like it's this weird back and forth of like your situation, your mindset, quality of service,
Yeah.
and what you're drinking.
Yeah.
All plays into how good of a time you're having.
Right. How much of your enjoyment is tied up in nostalgia?
Totally.
And like the experience, and it wasn't just the beer, it wasn't just the flavor, the aroma. Can you guys think? What was like the last? You had a beer in your hand, and you were like, "Man, things couldn't get much better than this." Obviously, 2020, maybe even in 2020, because we had those moments, for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
you got like the last time you were outside of here, and you were just having a fucking killer time, and you had a great beer in your hand. And you were like, "Man, this is the best."
Like a
got
Natty
re-
Ice.
got
or Natty
reaction.
Light
Yeah, like
or-
I remember. So Mission Ballroom is a relatively new venue.
Yeah.
I've only been to two. I went to like a Yeti Coolers like movie premiere or something, and then I went to a God, what am I can't even think of his name. But I went to this show, and it was in February of last year. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before everything got shut.
Yeah.
It was Orville Peck,
Okay. Fun.
which was an amazing show, and it was Lucero was headlining, and Orville Peck opened.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so Orville Peck put on an amazing show, and a friend of mine who's hammered drunk was like, how am I watching the best show of 2020 and it's February? And I just remember in my mind,
I need to talk to your friend. I
Like,
think that
he was
we
right.
figured out the cause.
he was
Yeah.
totally 100% right. And it echoes in my head of like one of the last really good live shows of the year
Yeah.
was in February, and I didn't go to any other
Yeah.
shows the rest of the year. So
Yeah.
I don't know, that was just weird.
But it was just a serendipitous kind of, man, everything sounds great. Everything,
Yeah.
everything's
Oh,
perfect.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Mission Ballroom was amazing.
See, I didn't get. I mean, I'm big into concerts, and I never got to go to the Mission Ballroom.
Yeah, I haven't done
And
Mission
now
yet.
they're
Haven't
talking
done either.
about having to close it, unfortunately.
Are they really? Unreal.
Yeah.
We had to
For a
figure
while.
out how much money they put into that place.
Yeah.
They were expecting a return based on, they were bringing
Yeah.
in some pretty big acts.
Yeah, I mean, like the Black Keys or something.
Yeah,
it
they
was
were
like their
big.
first show, which was like insane to
Yeah.
get a ticket to that and all this kind of stuff. So
Huh.
Yeah, they're having a hard
that'd
time.
be terrible.
I mean, all the concert venues are really, but also at the same time, like it's like AEG and Live Nation. It's like you guys could easily make this venue survive if you wanted to. If you guys wanted to put the money behind it, there's no talk of Mission Ballroom closing.
Yeah.
But because they're Live Nation, they're like, yeah, we don't know if it's gonna make it. It's like,
Soulless.
yeah.
Yeah, it's capitalism.
Well, it's also like, with the Lakers kind of getting the bailout on the first kind of PPP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lakers got
and
something.
they're essentially going to like force, like you can't always have a positive quarter or,
To get.
you
to
need
get
to
this
be
money.
socking away money for bad months.
And he knows he works for an insurance company. to copy
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like all these investors they want cash. They want a return on their investment immediately.
No matter what.
And like, not every quarter, not every year is going to be up.
Yeah.
And you have to prepare for that.
Yeah.
But
I
I
never
don't
went to Mission, but I heard it was like the build out was amazing.
That's what I
Yeah.
heard too.
The
Yeah.
stage can change, the layout can change, right? Based on
Wow.
how many people were there. And the
Let's talk about how
families.
much cooler it is to have not gone to Mission Ballroom.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because how about you? What was like the last time you were like? It was like a beer and experience kind of moment where you were like, something. It doesn't even have to be anything big. It's like casual,
Yeah, I don't know. Trying to think like maybe the last time we went camping down at like Crestone Sand Dunes area, and just sitting with some of my good friends and brother and my wife and just the stars out there. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but yeah, just like hanging out watching like satellites and stuff cross.
Yeah, because there's just nothing.
Yeah,
It's
there's just
no light
nothing.
out there. There's
Yeah.
literally nothing in your way. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
just
up to the
like
sky.
this is great, Yeah, cooking out. Yeah,
Is she
Might be
Swedish?
she's Brazilian.
Yeah. So, yeah, the second half.
Yeah.
Second half.
I was gonna say, man, you can't be doing all this globetrotting, and then somebody you wind up with isn't from like, we're just gonna bring this back home.
Yep, I brought her back home.
She's
Quite the
from Colorado Springs.
Quite the carry on. You've got
She's
that.
done it, yeah. I didn't even pay that much.
Oh man! So you make a bunch of different beer styles. It's kind of what you want. What are beer styles that you guys don't fucking like? Is there anything that you just fucking hate? Don't cop out and say every beer has its time and place because it's not true.
Every beer
Some
has
stuff
its
just
time
suck.
and place.
Some beer just sucks.
No, I mean, and that's subjective. It's a subjective thing too.
Sorry, we're
but
second beer in, yeah.
but yeah, if I never had to taste like a like super lactose sour bomb or anything like that again, I'd probably be okay.
Super lactose sour. So like a slushy sour, like a smoothie sour kind of thing.
It's okay. People love them. That's fine. I don't.
I think those people are idiots. So I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're not saying that. I'm saying that. So yeah, you're not in danger here.
Okay.
But have you guys tried to make? Have you guys ever made something like that? Because it's super hype and super popular. But
No.
have you caved to that whole thing?
No.
We really haven't. I mean, I feel like I'm this, old guy on his porch, like telling kids to get off my lawn or
Yeah.
something. But it's just, I want my beer to taste like beer, right? I want it to be not a sugar bomb, not a hot bomb, just like a classic, clean. I mean, I do like sour beers.
Well,
but
sour
it's-
beers are different.
Totally.
I mean,
100%.
yeah, that's a totally different
yeah.
thing.
But yeah, a lot of the hype, trendy stuff, it's an annoyance. We could probably make it and sell it and make some money, but it sounds so generic, but we do make beer that we want to drink.
Yeah, just classic. Like, there's
Yeah.
a reason that these things have been done for 1,000 years.
Totally, and I mean, it's,
They
we've
you can make it
They
the
advance
highest
and they
quality
advance
version
and they
that sells.
advance and
Yeah.
there's always something new, but this doesn't really advance like these styles. I don't think they really advance the science or the art of brewing.
No.
It's more just like throw it all together and make it taste like Fruit Loops.
Yeah, you're reducing your
Four Loko does not have its place
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It did before they changed the recipe.
When it was like 15% or 16%.
When it was
actually-
all caffeine and shit.
Oh,
It was
my
actually
God.
a BA
Yeah.
certified category before they took the caffeine out. And it was, it was pretty.
It had its place. I
Yeah.
don't remember it, but it had its place.
Yeah,
No,
did
it
you guys, have you guys you had a Four Loko before, yeah?
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
I was always more of a juice man. Did you guys ever have juice?
Oh,
J-O-O-S-E.
Yeah. Double O.
Juice.
It was just like another
West
brand.
Coast
It was
or-
like it was just another brand.
All right, I gotta try them all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you though?
if you're gonna be a critic, yeah.
It's not a
I
fucking
think you do.
Pokemon.
I want a flight of juice.
Catch them all.
I want a
Just a
flight
sip
of
of,
juice and Four Loko. If I could get 6 different kinds,
Oh man.
be able to walk out of here just caffeine high and drunk as fuck. That'd be
boy.
the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a heart
Your
attack.
body's awake, but your brain is asleep.
Yeah.
It
It's
just
like
sounds
zombie mode.
awful.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna drive home. Like, no.
The two
Awful.
times I drank like the high caffeine before they changed the recipe, the 2 times I did it, I very much blacked out and was apparently running around for hours just wreaking havoc wherever I was.
Yeah, I can
it's
see
like,
that.
And that's fun too.
That's what it's meant to be.
I'm
Yeah.
sure I had a
Nice.
great time, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So
one of the
there's
times,
a time and place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the times I was like at a friend's house and I was underage at the time, and his parents had like all their keys on like a key rack, and I hid them throughout the house because I thought it was hilarious. And I don't know if they found all of them.
Oh shit.
No,
Yeah, you still not
never
sure.
found out. Yeah. I was like, this will be a great prank, and it was.
It was.
Yeah.
A lasting prank.
Yeah, forever. Do you have a guilty pleasure drink of choice, like a Four Loko or a mojito or something like that?
I got lots.
Tons,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decorated.
I always have Guinness, High Life, PBR, and Coors Original in
Yeah,
my fridge.
I'll make that craft beer shit, but I don't want to drink it.
No, I drink the hell out of it, but I gotta have my sessions at
Yeah,
home.
your stockpile, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Coors Original for sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
I love whiskey, so like it's
Jim Beam. for
yeah.
me. Oh yeah.
You know, you can only not only but like you kind of enjoy beer, go through beer phases, and then whiskey, and then gin and wine, and just enjoying different alcohol. It just kind of keeps your palate kind of on its toes a little bit.
Yeah,
It's just kind of fun. You don't need to drink beer every day.
I was a big Labatt Blue guy before I moved out here, and then I love Coors Banquet. I think Coors Banquet.
Yeah, banquet.
Yellow
Super
Bellies.
And I found out on the podcast with Call to Arms that they have their own proprietary like grain blend that they actually use for that.
Really?
I thought it was corn based.
Okay.
I just assumed it was corn based because I'm pretty sure Coors Light is. But he was like, no, they actually for Banquet itself they have a grain blend that they use.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know the
I'm sure they
secrets.
did a lot of a deep
Yeah.
dive on their Coors.
Yeah, they've had some,
you know,
yeah.
their own Coors.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Ballroom
of course.
beer.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
The Ballroom beer?
Did you heard about this, right?
No.
So,
Oh.
yeah, Call to Arms did.
Wax poetic. Tell me.
No, it was one of those, like you're kind of slapping the bear, like expecting something, but they did a Coors that was like KH.
Oh wait, Call to Arms?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Coors did.
Oh no. But
Yeah.
I'm sure Call to Arms did like, you know, a lot of research on how to mimic
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Coors people came there and told them to stop.
Right. They got their cease and desist.
But
Yeah.
they at least came there to like have a beer. Apparently, Chris,
they really?
yeah, because Chris told us about it, like the whole thing. He was like, yeah, they came down, they like had a beer with us and stuff.
I
instead of
mean,
doing it like through lawyers or anything.
Could have
like
been
that.
worse.
Absolutely, could have been worse. Have you run into that, like with beer names or anything, or people calling you out
We
about
do our
shit?
research ish. I mean,
Ish,
we've
yeah.
never totally blatantly ripped off. I mean, and you know, the whole Call to Arms thing was like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Sure.
But yeah,
They were looking for their cease and desist.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
seem to do that with a lot of shit.
They do. Yeah.
But no, I mean, we, you know, do a Google search, do a, you know, Untapped search. Like, we're not trying to. I think we've only really trademarked a couple names.
Yeah.
Like actually paid for the trademark. But typically, we do a search, and if someone randomly we didn't think of sends us a cease and desist, oh well.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys, have you rocked the boat in any regard in terms of marketing or shit you've done here? Like, was
Not
meeting you-
legal. I don't know.
Not legal.
Like the
No, I mean personally. You can say personally as well. They don't have to get lawyers involved.
It's
No, I
not
mean, it's-
Budweiser, it's Budweiser with
Yeah.
a V.
Give us some juice, well.
Like Wits End, Scott over there. I mean, Wits End's not really a thing anymore. Did they? Are they?
I don't know if they're still
They're
doing
like
their.
still doing something with Strange.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Yeah.
They're-
They'll still be partnered.
they're
or,
still
Scott
partners.
might have stepped away or something like that.
Not sure.
But Scott's an amazing brewer, super good dude, and he always would poke the bear with Star Wars names, or you know Jean-Claude Van Blonde.
Yeah.
And they, I think, got cease and desist for that. from like the shot
I
Ron
think they did, yeah.
estate, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know who would reach out for that.
Rotating Tap Comedy is actually it's also an improv troupe in Australia. So
Oh.
they were around first. However, we are already much more successful than they are.
And we've heard
They're-
that international copyrights and stuff.
Are very
trademarks are very different.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
We've never. I mean, but I asked Scott, like he did some Star Wars named thing, and I was like, I don't know, like those guys are pretty litigious. Like, are you worried about this? And he was like, man, if we got a cease and desist, I would like frame it and put it on the wall, like
Yeah.
bring it on. I was like, all right, man, cool.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It's not necessarily anybody's goal to get a cease and desist, except for the few people it is, where it's like, it's the same in comedy where it's like, I'm not really trying to step on toes, but if I'm going to step on toes, I'm going to make sure that person screams.
Big,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, cease and desist wouldn't be the comedy equivalent of stealing jokes. What would be the comedy equivalent of a cease and desist?
Somebody had the same idea already.
Okay.
It would be kind of parallel to that, where
it
you
would be
didn't
like
just straight up
it'd be
steal
like
the
a
joke,
premise,
but
similar premise.
somebody else
Be like
already
me.
kind of came up with the joke.
It'd be like me going on stage and being like, "What's the deal with airplane peanuts?" Like,
Not necessarily because nobody's gonna stop you from doing that because they came up with it first.
yeah, I'd have my own angle on airplane peanuts.
So I guess
I was gonna say, what's the deal with them?
yeah. So I'm curious.
What did Seinfeld say?
One got assaulted.
There you go.
Callback.
yeah.
But would you? All right. So my parallel would be, or the metaphor would be, where a more established comic has the same joke that you do. You didn't see them do it. They didn't see you do it. But you kind of give in to the fact that like, well, it's already more popular because you did it. So it's gone now. Like I don't do it anymore.
Did you hear about the comic who is pissed to SNL right now? He has, I think it's Vic Alexandro. I don't remember his name.
Okay.
But he came out and he was like, "This was a bit I did," and then SNL turned it into a sketch. And
That happens. I feel like that happens a lot with SNL.
But it was also like he had just auditioned with that bit,
Interesting.
and they told him no, and then
they took the
they
bit.
took the bit, and apparently that is a big thing for SNL. It's like
That's gonna go away. Because they're the bigger company.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
the individual
yeah.
artist.
But he's also like he's starting an online campaign of like, look, I said this joke. Here's the proof. This is from 2019. This bit, and here it is on SNL in 2021.
I mean, hopefully they do something to like make up for it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Chris?
No one.
I don't have any
Get
opinion
fired
at all.
It's bringing me back around to like the Led Zeppelin stuff that's been going on lately. Like I forget who the band
Or
was.
people saying like
But they were like,
50% of
we
it.
wrote
Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven, and they,
Yeah.
and
It was the Goo Goo Dolls.
yeah.
That guy does everything.
It's like, does the show like even if you're pitching it, does it have to be like it's got to be recorded? It's got to be some sort of evidence that you already put it out there, and then
I mean,
No,
not at an audition. No, it's probably especially during COVID, but like the auditions are fucking tedious, and you're going up in front of 4 people, and they probably do have it recorded, but they probably like throw it in the vault immediately. You'll never see this again.
Yeah, comedy doesn't have the respect that music does in that regard, where music can be copyrighted, right? And trademarked.
That's
and things like
that's
right?
kind of
Comedy
they
doesn't
copyright
really work
that
that way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a mechanism for people to really copyright their jokes.
There actually is. There absolutely is.
Okay.
That you can copyright jokes, and then also like, essentially, if it's not copywritten, it comes down to who can prove that they told it first, who has video evidence that they like by date that they can prove that like it's been around longer.
How general does the copyright have to be?
Yeah. I was gonna say you can do the poor man's copyright, which is a postcard, where if you write it on a postcard, and then you get it governmentally timestamped,
Stamped, yeah.
then you know the idea was that.
Well, that.
I mean, I don't know if that's very.
I'm just gonna start using my joke book. I'm just gonna get a bunch of postcards,
Yeah,
tie
instead
them
of
all
a-
together.
Just send it to yourself. Yeah.
Instead of a notebook, I'm just gonna do postcards from now on. That's where I write all my stuff. Well, there was
That is old as fuck. That is. I know comics that would kill for that idea. Oh man.
There was a controversy a few years ago that Louis C.K. had actually talked about on his TV show where Dane Cook stole a bit from him.
Okay.
And according to Dane, he didn't. It was just like parallel thinking is what they call it. Where he just kind of came up with kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to prove it. It's basically just us calling each other out
Right.
for the most part. So it's hard to get litigation involved or anything like
Well,
that.
I mean, even like the Carlos Mencia kind of debacle
Right.
of his, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
imploding.
Mencia.
His was like more verbatim though, right? It was
Well,
pretty
that's the
goddamn
thing
close,
is,
yeah.
even if it's just a couple different words, but it's still the same joke, it is now a different entity, right? Like,
Right.
a good example I can think of is like Tom Petty's Last Dance, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers put out. What was that song? It was the same song essentially.
Interesting.
All like the music was the same, the chorus was the same, but like nobody really cared.
Well, like I remember Mencia's kind of argument where he stole a joke about who's going to build the wall, and he was coming at it from like a Mexican American, like who's going to build it, and then he was called out that like a guy from New York.
It was Ari Shaffir that
Yeah, exactly, and he was like, well, it's funnier that like a Mexican said that joke and not,
Right.
and it was like that doesn't matter.
Yeah, his excuse was
Like-
that it's better that because I told it.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I think Louis was where it was about naming kids. Do you remember this?
No, it would be.
So it was about like naming kids, and essentially,
Okay.
then Louis used one way of this like different kid names, and then Dane had different ones.
Okay.
But it was the premise is essentially this is how you name kids.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's not a crazy different premise.
Yeah.
Right? But Louis felt that Dane had ripped him off, kind of thing. Dane didn't feel that way. And they actually had an episode about it on Louis' TV show.
Cheers.
Where Dane was like, I get it, I'm sorry, but it wasn't intentional.
Was it actually Dane Cook on it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because I've heard Dane Cook is a douchebag.
Yeah.
From a lot of people.
Well-
that he never steps down.
I'm sure, but I mean, especially since he's not fallen from grace, but he's not as big as he used to be in any regard. That particular instance probably seemed like a good way for him to establish some credibility again.
Yeah.
After he kind of
Yeah,
lost
Well, and like the beer business, one of the things like early on, and I believe it was like Avery and maybe Russian River had a same name for a beer. And this was years ago, this was like 10 plus. And they ended up, I think it was just a phone call. It wasn't like a lawyer note or anything like that. And so I think Russian River had the name originally, and then Avery was kind of ish in the wrong. And so then when Avery wanted to release the same beer, they called it collaboration, not litigation. What's the name of the beer? And so they kind of made a positive
Yeah, that's right.
outcome of, hey man, like please don't use this name that we have. We've been using it for years, and they were like, oh, well, we really like it. Like, oh, well, let's figure something else out.
Yeah.
Didn't Lagunitas have a beer like that too? It was called like Uncensored. It was literally called like Uncensored or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, they have like it's a stamp that's like over the 6-pack label.
Uh huh.
I can't get it right now, but yeah.
I mean, my favorite was when Left Hand Milk Stout was trying to trademark
Milk Stout.
Nitro,
Oh, they're trying to.
and like Guinness was like,
Yeah.
No.
Hey, sit down, Junior.
like we've been doing this kind of a lot, and I think that lasted a week.
Yeah.
Didn't
Didn't go very far.
Yeah, like no, dude. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, I'm sorry. Well, I don't think we actually heard what your like shit beer of choice is. I know you said you like Banquet, but do you have like a go-to? Where are you from? Where are you guys from originally?
I'm right here.
You're from Denver.
Yeah.
So you're a
mostly
Coors guy.
Nevada, Golden area.
Okay, so you're like a Coors guy.
I do like Coors.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about the stuff that you would have grown up with.
I went to
right?
school in the shadow. I smelled the the stacks floating
Same with
over my.
Where'd you go to school?
Yeah. Huh?
Did you go to Golden High School?
No, I went to elementary school actually.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Then
Mitchell
they kicked it-
Mustangs.
then they
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Ralston
I
Valley.
knew you were gonna say Ralston Valley.
How did
God
you
damn
know
it.
that? Do I look that Ralston
I mean,
Valley
if it's
to
not Golden, it's Ralston Valley.
Can
What
smell
about
it.
A West?
Dude, A West was still east compared to Ralston Valley. That was a stupid naming for Arvada. They're like, let's name this one A West. And then we'll go way more west, and it'll be Ralston Valley. Fucking stupid Arvada.
Fuck it.
So you grew up in the area?
Clearly.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he's
Yeah.
from Florida.
And you went to Golden.
I went to Bear Creek.
Oh, you went to Bear Creek. So
Bear
I live
Creek
near
boy.
Bear Creek now. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
Was your house on fire the other day?
no, but I got scared. I called all my
Really?
friends in the area.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
There was a big brush fire down in Bear Creek.
Yeah, it was
It
crazy
was.
windy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when it was blowing like 100 miles per hour, and
yeah.
a nice big smoke plume started rising. I was like, it doesn't look good.
I saw that and I was like, I know there's no good barbecue in Denver, so
Yeah, that's a fire.
Yeah.
nobody's got the fucking pit out right now.
Yeah. You know, your typical February wildfires going on in
Yeah.
Colorado.
Standard.
Absolutely nice.
Well, where are you from?
I was originally born in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
So
Did
deep
that-
south.
What's the southeast? What was the southeast kind of like shit beer?
It was just Bud Light.
Okay, so there wasn't like no, but I mean the reason I ask is because there's a lot of like old school anyway, like it was very regionally specific.
Yeah.
You know, you got Rainier, you got Utica Club, you've got Stroh's, shit like that. You know, so I wasn't sure if the southeast like ever had.
No, I mean we're in like kind of Coca-Cola country. So like I don't know. I grew up, Atlanta, Birmingham. Multiple friends of like my family worked for Coca-Cola and their different like kind of bottling and canning facilities and stuff like that. So and there's a big Anheuser-Busch presence there. So it was either Bud Heavy or Bud Light.
Yeah. I'm
where,
going
like-
Bud Heavy all day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Bud Light was just, I remember very well,
There's a lot of flavor.
we had some pretty big lakes in, Alabama, and we were out on just, a pontoon boat, whatever, ride. And I remember, like, as a kid, like, probably 4 or 5, looking at, like, my dad's, like, Bud Light, and he was like, yeah, go for it. And, like, took it, and it was the worst
That's
thing.
terrible.
Like, absolutely
Yeah.
awful. And so I kind of stayed away from beer for a while after that. But, no, I mean, craft beer is blown up in Birmingham. It's insane.
Is any,
Yeah.
of it, is any of it good?
It's very good. It's
Okay.
very traditional because I think to make the leap to craft beer, it needs to be what you think it is. So there are some very experimental styles, but like an IPA is very. You just taste it. You're like, that is on the numbers.
This is the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly what an IPA tastes like, what a porter tastes like, what an English pale or whatever.
Sure.
So it's just not a very experimental or knowledgeable, not in a mean way, crowd.
Yeah.
For beer.
Sure. But like,
It is
do the
changing.
basics. Do the basics really well first.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, in Birmingham, there's good people. There's Trim Tab. There's Cahaba. I mean, like, from when I go visit my parents, I can go to probably 5-6 breweries within 20 minutes.
And you don't hate them.
Yeah, and
That's
they're great.
That's nice.
I went to I did a little tour in the south with a very funny comedian, Derek Stroop, a couple years ago. We did Birmingham, and we ended up. He's from just outside of Huntsville,
Yeah.
and so I did a show at a brewery in Huntsville, and the beer was really good. Unfortunately, it was the worst set I've ever had in my entire life.
Beer was
I
good. Set
bombed-
was terrible. 2
I
stars.
I bombed so fucking hard, and it was one of those bombs where it's like you can't blame anything but yourself. It was very much like, man, I have never eaten shit so fucking hard on stage.
I know you like going to comedy shows. Have you
I
ever
love it.
seen somebody like just totally eat shit before?
I have. My favorite.
Name names.
I know.
No, I
That's when he
totally-
goes, Corey. I knew you looked familiar.
It was this weird thing that like happened where I went to Comedy Works and saw this guy do a set, and I totally spaced his name. I couldn't remember it if I even tried, but it was a dirty set. He said fucking shit and whatever.
Yeah.
And the next day, or maybe 2 days later, I went to Film on the Rocks at Red Rocks, and he was an opener, and he had to do a clean set, and he bombed so hard.
Oh.
Like, it was one of those things, I'm in the crowd, And like a couple jokes in, like literally like, "Ooh," and I was like, looking like, yo, that's
Give
not
him a
don't-
second,
don't
yeah.
do that. Like, that's not alright.
Yeah.
But he made some joke about like having like he had a beard and his like unibrow was sewed together that he considered himself two beard or something. And I was just like, oh, terrible.
Steve and I are racking our fucking
Yeah, I
brains
think
right now.
I might have an idea. I think I have an idea.
But it was interesting to see a dirty and a clean set, literally a couple days apart. And the dirty set did well,
Yeah.
and the clean set did
That's,
not.
I mean, clean comedy is much harder.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like IPAs.
Nice, good segue.
Yeah.
Can't just throw a bunch of bullshit in this.
Yeah.
Haze it up. It's a lot harder to do clean.
Yeah.
Well, I do like the beer here a lot. Pretty big fan. Well, you got something you want to bring up?
Oh, I was gonna ask, just because you're from Alabama, like we ask this sometimes on the show, where you think like the most overrated region of the country for beer is. Because the reason that I thought about it recently was because my opinion has changed. I used to say it was Washington, Pacific Northwest was a little overrated, just because it'd been around and established for so long, but it really wasn't like super progressive. It's just like mostly ambers. And I've changed my tune and decided that I think Asheville in North Carolina is the most overrated
I might agree with that.
part of the country.
Yeah, I think a lot of that for me personally kind of swings with, Wicked Weed and the whole AB buyout was such a stab in the heart for so many people that really, really believed in Wicked Weed.
Yeah.
And even bars in Denver that had, cellaring Wicked Weed.
Yeah, I mean, there's
that they would put like on the, chalkboard, like, we bought this keg before AB bought them, like, please don't.
Please buy this.
Please buy this.
Yeah, we don't want it to sit here.
But yeah, sorry.
No. I'm right on the same page as you. They had one of the most progressive sour programs in the country that was at a large distribution level.
For sure.
It was pretty impressive.
Oh, absolutely.
But outside of them, it's Burial, and I mean Sierra and New Belgium moved there, so I don't really count them. Oscar Blues moved there, and they're in Brevard. They're not even really in Asheville. But like outside of Wicked Weed and Burial, ain't nobody doing shit for how many breweries are actually there.
Yeah.
I think it gets like way overhyped as like a beer destination.
Yeah, I think.
We are asking you to talk a little bit of shit at this point in the segment.
Oh, this is a shit talk part?
You don't have to call out any names. I want to know like what.
Chug beer, no joke, but like start shit talking or chug two beers.
Yeah.
It's like, who do you
You're
hate?
almost done.
You know what?
Who do you hate?
You're almost
We
done
have
in a second.
had to edit out. People had decided to chug 2 beers at a time, and we have had to edit out their immediate.
They got into some real shit talk.
They
kept
got
naming
into
names. They were doing.
They went fucking ham on the shit.
It
And
was
then
a brewer at Outworld.
Okay.
Yeah.
sobered up the next day and was like, "Hey, if you guys could take this part out," we're like, "Oh, that was our favorite part.
That was literally our
Why?
favorite part. No,
We loved it."
Oh, we can
We're not
request
asking you.
that?
We're not asking you guys to, like you said, not naming any names. I'm mostly just curious about like a region of the country that you think is a little overhyped.
I haven't even really thought about it. Anything come to mind?
I don't know. Colorado?
Yeah, nice. That's good.
It's either that or Sweden.
Yeah, Brazil ain't shit.
No, I don't know. I guess I've never been in Asheville. I've never been to that area. I have tried the beers from there, but not. You have to be actually, I think, in the area to call it an overhyped area. I think, because otherwise you're just trying whatever they.
Well, yeah, you gotta
overhyped
try-
and send it here.
Maybe, yeah, you gotta try the beers at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any overhyped area really. Bring it all on.
Just
Flood
appropriately
the
hyped.
scene and yeah, get it crazy.
Just hodgepodge of shit.
Yeah, eventually everything, and it does happen. It's naturally everything just kind of gets flushed down the drain that doesn't work.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean we've been through what Maine. Maine was an awesome
Maine was
area.
amazing.
Yeah, I think New England is
New
one of the
England,
best
New
in the
England
country.
area, Maine.
Maine, Vermont specifically, and then obviously a couple things in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
Pacific
sure.
Northwest was. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of shit up there, but there's also so much good shit. Down in San Diego area, like that kind of area, so good. I mean, just came through like Arizona. Arizona's got some really good stuff coming
Okay.
out.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
hear that come up as much for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the breweries out there are doing really good stuff.
Can you name any? Do you know anybody offhand that you can remember that is really killing it in AZ?
Like Arizona Wilderness is a really good one. There's a couple. They're bird themed. I went to a place that they actually
Everything in Arizona is bird themed.
Well, this place actually had birds. So their whole
It's actually a dome. It's like a cage in a dome.
it was
It's a
so
bird
weird.
dome.
But their whole like shtick was that they adopted because so in Arizona is where all the retirees go, right? And you're too wealthy to do anything, and so
They
they just
adopt
buy
pigeons.
crazy shit.
Okay.
And they buy like exotic birds. And they're like, I want an exotic bird. And then they're like, this sucks. And so they get rid of it. And so this place takes that exotic bird and they like foster it basically. And it's a brewery
Yeah.
with you have like exotic birds all around you. And it's so weird.
I don't
That's- yeah,
trust.
that's- I don't love
trust
any of
exotic
that. I don't love
birds.
any of
I really
that.
don't. I really don't.
I don't know. It was such
Yeah,
a weird
It's like
concept.
there's a lot of bird shit in one place where I'm consuming beer, and you're like, isn't this nice? Honey?
It's nice and
Yeah.
spread out.
It's
It's
great.
outdoors, and it's like I don't know. It was a weird concept, but the beers were really great.
Next time we come in here, there's gonna be like 10 cockatoos.
Try that.
A couple Madagascar.
Try the amber. Try the amber.
You see him like reading off your credit card number when you like pull out your like, no.
No.
We really had to cut backstage.
That might be it. Yeah, I better check that out.
Shit.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it though, but it's
No,
really
it's
good.
good. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good breweries out there though.
Fun.
Yeah.
They had a comedy festival out there called Bird City, which I applied to 2 years in a row, got rejected from 2 years in a
Being
row.
better now.
And then, no, it's like I never was bitter about it, but then the year after I got rejected 2 times in a row, I was on a show with the founder at High Plains Comedy Festival, which takes place here
Oh, yeah.
on South
Mhm.
Broadway.
Great show.
And I went up right before that comic and buried them so fucking hard. And it wasn't my intention. It was not my intention to be like spiteful and be like, I'm going to do so well that you suck. Because you can't plan on somebody else sucking either, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go out there and do as well as I can.
Yeah, but you want to like go out there and bury.
You want to go out there and bury the next person, and I have never buried somebody so fucking hard, and it to this day it's like it was never meant to be spiteful, but I'm so glad that I fucking annihilated
Yeah,
that
fuck that
person.
So I'm curious to get your opinion on this because it just kind of came to mind, and I was drunk enough almost to like yell out. So there was a High Plains comedy, and it was Anthony Jeselnik, and it was
Yes.
at Paramount.
How
Paramount.
many years ago was that?
4?
You both went with like
4 or 5.
You
I
say
know
it
the whole
first.
4
You
or
say it
5.
first.
Like once again, pandemic time. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
want to say 4 years ago.
And
though.
so his opener crushed and was like great. And I forget who it was, but it was like a bigger dude, and he had some stuff about like, you know, his girlfriend said, "I love you," like, you know, fat kids loves, you know, cake. And he was like, "Well, it's like a pretty in-depth
Oh, Aaron
relationship."
Urist. That's Aaron Urist.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It was
Yes.
yours.
So it was Aaron Urist.
Yeah, crushed it. And so Jeselnik came on stage.
Which is a local guy, by the way.
Yeah. He was awesome. And he was literally like, all right, yeah, fuck this. I'm going to like, you know, you guys give me stuff. So he was asking for participation.
Uh-huh.
And it was Eurus and maybe 2 other people to open up for him or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to yell, like, why was your opener so much better than you are?
Whoa.
Like, in my head. Like,
Yeah,
Spicy meatball. Yes.
I wasn't trying to be like
Dude.
a dick, but I was like feeling good. Couple drinks in.
Yo.
Couple drinks in. As a comic, asking the crowd, so I'm not just being a dick heckler.
Nope.
Is that
Yes, I have a whole bit on it. If a comic asks a question, you are free to answer.
okay?
Absolutely.
I'm curious.
100% of
otherwise-
the time.
Alright.
If they ask a question, and that's something that like there's like a Denver dude who used to run the local talent program at Comedy Works called Deacon, and he passed away. But that was one of his pet peeves. Now, like I inherited that pet peeve from him, where it's like if you ask the audience a question, you better expect them to answer.
You gotta be ready for anything, yeah.
If you're gonna ask a question, I have a whole bit just repeating questions that I hear comics ask because it's like if you really want to know the answer to it, you're not gonna be able to handle
Well,
it.
I'm also thinking from Jesselnik's point of view is that he's so good that he can handle it.
Jesselnick could,
Yeah.
but also
that's
like.
why he's going into it with that mentality.
But the point, the
They're
point
open
is
mi-
that you're
young-
not really heckling at that point.
You're not. Yeah. As
Okay.
an audience member, you're not. acting.
Because I was like kind of like elbowing my friend like I'm gonna yell or something. And he was like, "Shut the fuck up! Don't
Yeah.
say it."
Yeah. I mean,
You're
once-
embarrassing me in front of
No,
company.
once they open it up, like it's full.
Okay.
It's full game.
I was just making sure, just to get a comment.
Yeah, because I mean, comedy's supposed to be like interpersonal, right? And it's similar to like a conversation, right? Like if I am really good at comedy, it seems like I'm talking to you and you alone.
Totally.
It seems like I'm singling you on the audience, right?
Yeah.
So if I ask you a question in a conversation, you think I'm just gonna stumble over whatever you answer, right? Like, if this whole podcast when we're asking you questions about beer and you're answering them, I could just be like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Fuck all this, right? And it's like that's not helpful for anybody.
It's not helpful for the show. It's not helpful for the comic or as
Yeah.
an audience member. Like where hecklers become a problem is the show becomes about them.
Totally.
And the
Right.
timing of things is very important, and sometimes you want to leave like a space potentially before the punchline.
Right.
So if somebody just fucking shouts right before the punchline, like the timing's gone, that tension that you've built in the room is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But for anybody that doesn't know, when you bury a comic, it's when you go up before them and you kill so hard they can't follow you. So even if they do okay, they can't do as well because the room never resets.
Oh, the comic after me in this situation bombed.
Yeah.
Bombed.
Yeah. But that's where that's that
Talks,
terminology.
like,
That's that
I mean, I have to
terminology.
follow
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis,
Yeah.
and then Elvis,
Yeah.
and then Dewey Cox.
Right.
Just tonight. Just tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, those times can be fun. I mean, there's times where, out of respect for the show, you try not to bury the next person. But then there's time, like if you're just flowing and everybody gets along really well, I want anybody to do well in front of me.
Totally.
Because it's like this is a better show.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
makes
not.
sense.
You
but
gotta
then
step
there's-
it up too.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
sometimes
good for you.
it's a spiteful thing sometimes where you want to bury the person and you want to make it hard for them. He's like, all right, let's see what you can do.
Well, and I'm sure it's
That's-
just
I think that's
tracking
healthy. Yeah.
like emotion of the crowd of like they're drinking, they're laughing really hard, so it's, and then if a new comic comes on, then they have to kind of build their own. It's this weird kind of roller coaster of like, all right, I have to build up kind of a not drunk, but like feeling good crowd,
Yeah.
and I have to get them to follow my narrative and then laugh at my jokes. I don't know, it'd be a hard.
Yeah,
Kind of
drunk.
fun.
People say all the time. Hosts say all the time. Drink up. We want you to be drunk. The more you drink, the better we are. I fucking hate that. Actually, I think I forget what other comic said. I was listening to a podcast one time, but that was their point. Was like the more drunk this crowd is, the harder the show is going to be.
For sure.
I'm gonna have to riff a lot more.
I mean,
because
there's
people are just being there.
There's a limit too, and like just like in terms of like when you guys are working, maybe not you two in particular, but any of your employees here are working for tips, right? There's a point where somebody's buzzed where they're going to tip very well, and then there's a point where they've had too much where they're going to tip nothing.
Just walk out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same bell. It's the same bell curve exactly. Like
You guys probably had it at Brewfest, where like people are kind of drunk and you're like, yeah, this is great. And then as soon as people get too shitty, the witching hour, like the last hour, the 2-session beer fest is going on, and people just come up to you like, what's the highest alcohol thing you have?
Well, we were at what was it? The kind of the Christmas festival that was at the Aviation Museum.
Oh, the Festivus.
Festivus.
Yeah.
For the
So-
rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us. Yeah.
And so I thought I was being like cutesy, where we did like before Johnny's, our IPA, we did just a straight American IPA was the name of it. And so I just did in like pretty easily readable font, America, American IPA. So it starts with an M.
Yeah. People have heard that.
And like,
yeah.
as people got drunk, people were like, "Can I get the Mexican IPA?" Are you? Where's an X in that?
Well,
Like,
the 2 letters start to blend together.
Yeah.
And
they were like, "What's a Mexican IPA?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It makes sense. And I
mostly
wouldn't
corn.
believe it unless I was there.
Yeah. Stop reading. Stop caring. Just like
'Cause in the
first
beginning-
letter, give it to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the beginning,
You
people
mean
were like, "Oh,
that-
America, that's
yeah.
funny. I'll take the America."
There's definitely a tipping point with
It gets sloppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you wanna get into?
I want to talk some shit,
All
but
right,
before
let's
I
talk a
do,
little
the
bit of shit.
beers that I have had are great.
thank you.
They're so good.
Yeah, they're really awesome. I wouldn't mind
Appreciate it.
another one, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, you want another beer?
Sounds
Go
good.
grab one.
is that okay?
Yeah, what you feel?
I love the first IPA. I mean, the porter was good too, but I mean, I'll always stick to like a more hop forward.
Do I? We have a double. 10%.
Nah, I'll
No.
do. There's a single hop.
The Johnny's.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Beggars
I get
can be choosers, huh? I'll do one of those cream ales.
Cream ales?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll do another Goza. The Goza's really good.
Goes it?
Yeah.
Goes IPA. On it.
Tight. Thank you.
We'll wait for you to start talking mad shit.
All right. I can't wait.
We want
the
you
beers
to hear
the
it.
beers are really great. But so, did you have experience with working? It sounds like you've had a lot of experience working with different styles of brewery. But was it when he asked you to like, hey, I need you to leave Sweden and like come here to do this thing? What was that? I'm not saying like offer in terms of like financials, but like why was that so appealing to you? Because it seems like you're brewing abroad. You've only been there for 6 months. It seems like that's a pretty legit situation you got going. Like why did you pull the plug on that and want to come back here?
You know, the job started out, they brought me over for 3 months, and then it turned into, we want you to stay at Neil's Oscar.
Forever.
Well, I was actually kind of hoping that, and they kind of were leaning that way. But then I had some other opportunities come up with the Brazil thing. And with Will.
Not your
and
wife, but the brewery.
that was a few years later. I've been to Brazil a few times. Yeah, and so all the opportunity. I was kind of like the Rolling Stone at that point, trying to keep moving.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was. It didn't have anything to do with the money or the opportunity necessarily. It was more like, okay, that's something I haven't done yet. The start a place. I haven't started a brewery before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had the idea to if there was like a country that you could start a brewery in, like where that would be?
Oh man, maybe Uruguay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, just because you like the place, or is there a reason that the brewing community like could use something like that?
Both actually. I mean, I think that the South American beer scene is incredible right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's huge. It's coming up. The craft beer scene it's the next biggest, I would say.
Okay.
And Uruguay is an amazing country. I think that they have, it's just a great place to live. It's not necessarily like beaches and rainforest or anything like that, but it's really
Pretty sure it's pronounced Uruguay, but I'm just.
Uruguay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to be Uruguay.
Yeah, real phonetics wizard over here, Miss Corey.
Yeah, we're coming. I mean, it's late in the show.
And they do have a few breweries, but I don't think they've kind of caught up to the neighbors like
But you think
Brazil
South
and
America
Paraguay
is
and
like
Chile.
a great spot to do that?
I really do, yeah.
Yeah, that's very sick.
Yep.
I had I mean I've traveled a decent amount, but the Asian market seems to be the less. It doesn't seem to be as progressed as far as like some other countries. Obviously, Europe's very well established.
Yep.
I hear a decent amount about what's like South Africa seems to be coming along, and obviously you've got like New Zealand and Australia and shit like that. But I didn't know as much about South America. But like China and Thailand and some of those countries, it's still like super far behind.
I think they're very regulated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that they're make this and this is what you drink.
Yeah, like imports are really big there. Like they're bringing
Yeah.
in shit like all the time from American breweries and stuff. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never worked in Asia or been to Asia. I did try and get a job out there, and I got turned down. But
Yeah. Where would it have been?
China.
Yeah, but like
Beijing.
Oh, in Beijing.
Yeah.
At least it was a big city.
Wuhan.
It's an animal meat market.
Perfect.
They brought me. I don't know why they wanted me there.
You guys ever had bat before?
Bat beater. It's a thing.
Double dry bat.
Don't boil it. Yeah. No, but South America it really is. It's a huge market that's coming up.
That's cool, man.
You're going to start seeing a lot of it. I think.
Yeah. Tight.
Right.
All right, so what do you got? So this is one of our favorite parts of the show, but it's hard to do sometimes when places don't necessarily have a lot to offer in terms of bad reviews. So
Okay.
A
we
lot
like
of
to
the
do-
times that we encounter mostly positive reviews are for newer breweries. The longer
Okay.
you've been around, the easier it is to find people that hate you.
yeah.
However, you guys have been here for a minute and still have a very good review, like mostly good reviews. Almost
We've
everywhere.
had some bad ones.
Nice.
Here
You
and there.
have, and
If
we're
you
gonna
think
read.
of
I try not to
anything
look
in
Yeah,
at
there-
it.
let's
so-
do it. Because
Yeah.
I got a story about one of
Oh,
them.
please. Yeah, that'd be great.
Hopefully, it's this one.
I hope. Fingers crossed.
This is from 3 years ago, from somebody who didn't use the real name, named Hush Lives. Really
Coward.
like this. Right, really like this place. My wife and I stop by every Sunday. Until today, did not realize that this is an MC hangout. Got boosted from our table and was told, "What? You don't want to hang out? How about I slash your tires?"
An MC hangout?
Motorcycle.
Oh.
Whatever. Nice place, but I don't tolerate bullies and won't support a business that tolerates that kind of atmosphere.
What a fucking nerd.
But like I said, nice place.
Oh,
Little
man.
bit.
I don't
Little bit.
tolerate bullies.
All right.
Maybe stand up for your
Hey.
stuff.
So,
Says the person that didn't even
Well,
use their name on
you
the
did-
review.
You did respond
I
to
did
this
respond.
one. You responded to this
I
one.
did, yeah. That one pissed me off. Not pissed me off. I literally.
You do look like an extra in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh
To be
yeah, so
completely
much. I do ride motorcycles.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't ride Harleys. I'm not a club.
We call them MCs, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not a part of a gang.
Respect the cut.
That literally. All right. So the funniest part was that was the first iteration of what we have now, which is our first Thursday motorcycle meetup. So first Thursday of every month, when it's nice, weather, we have just a motorcycle night
Sure.
where people just kind of come and hang. It's not. We get Italian guys. We get kind of Japanese bikes. We get. We get like Ducatis and Moto Guzzi's. We get Kawasaki's. We get Hondas. I wasn't talking about the people.
Yeah.
Motorcycles,
There's
they're
a bunch of
Japanese.
Italians. They're right Japanese bikes.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Big
not a lot of
Argentinian
Harley
hang.
guys, which is what I meant to say. And so the first time we kind of looked into our liquor license and we couldn't sell food, but we could give away food. So we did this joke like weenie roast, motorcycle best bike challenge. I literally got on eBay, it was like a motocross trophy of a guy on a dirt bike doing a wheelie, and it's like, it was like $10.
Yeah. hell
Sounds
yeah.
like your hockey
trophy.
trophy.
Well,
and
don't
say-
talk about the Choco Puckers trophy like that.
Like there will be a trophy given away. And so we gave away a bunch of hot dogs, and so a lot of Harley guys, I kind of love-ish to shit on those guys, showed up.
Except the Mongols.
Yeah, right.
I don't shit on the
Mongols
Mongols.
and like Sons of Silence, like I don't know. Yeah, please, no disrespect. But some Harley guys with like crazy chromed out custom bikes showed up, and we were busy, and I just went to a friend of mine and gave him the trophy, and I was like, give this to whoever you want. Like
Yeah.
I want it to be
Hell yeah.
objective.
Right.
So he literally goes out and finds the most stock motorcycle and gives it to a woman that had been riding for less than a year,
Sick.
and was just like,
That's great.
there you go.
Yeah. I love that.
Congratulations. Your bike is extremely stock. Everyone else is custom.
Yeah.
It's different.
I applaud
And
it.
that was
Yeah.
the joke. And so these guys came in and they were like, I've never lost at a bike competition, and literally the line was like, you see how much chrome's on that bike?
Oh
It's
no!
like, all right, man,
Ugh.
that's not really
It's got big
what
tires.
we were looking for. And so I think there were some people that were a little upset about losing a $10
Yeah.
motocross trophy and then took it out on who knows.
But they complained about it being a motorcycle night. Were they just trying to be incognito?
Yeah, they thought it was like a motorcycle club hangout, even though they were just happened to be motorcycle.
I think what you should do is host a comedy competition because the people that lose those get real upset.
Yeah, did you
Okay.
see how much chrome I put on that joke?
I opened on Chrome, I closed on Chrome.
Alright, I've got one from Untapped. This is Vivian H for Norwegian Triple. I don't know if you remember this one.
actually a solid beer.
All right.
2.25 on Untapped, so not great. And it just says sweet.
Sweet.
It's the only descriptor
Sweet.
that was involved. So I don't know if they actually. Is this like a dude, where's my car situation?
Yeah, is that?
Or is
is
like,
that sweet? Or is that too
Sweet.
Yeah.
Where somebody just describes it as sweet, which is what a triple is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then they give it a 2.25.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
That speaks for itself.
What do you
Yeah.
guys have? What kind of relationship do you guys have with Untapped?
They're great.
Well.
I mean, it's Yelp for beers, so you're gonna get some trolls
Mhm.
and people that don't know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
there was a guy that was going around years ago. I don't even know if he hit us, but it was talking about like, you know, we get that I'm at a brewery, but they don't even have a wine list, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Right.
And people can give negative reviews for stuff that's in no way anything we provide or whatever
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah.
But they're also our platform for like our live menu that they
Oh,
do
so
the-
that's why you don't want to say anything mean. That's good.
right. They're perfect.
There's some trolls. There's some terrible people.
It's
out
not
there.
the platform, it's the people.
It is.
Which is why I'm a big fan of Parlor. It's just.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's good.
No,
Good, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Untapped. It's not the perfect platform
cool.
or anything,
No.
but they do offer the only thing that nobody else can really do, which right now is that live menu. Which
Yeah, that's
can
great.
Span our menu here, our website, our Square. Yep. So.
But it's also, I think, you know, when you do check out a Yelp reviewed restaurant or whatever, you gotta know that there are just hateful people out there.
Of course.
And there's no one's gonna give a 5.
That's
very rare.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's true for most people. I think a lot of people do take that shit into consideration,
All right.
which sucks because
Yeah, that does
I've been working in a restaurant for a long time, and some of the shit people say is like, "You're definitely a garbage person, and you want your voice heard, and that's it."
Yeah.
And that's a lot of comics too. A lot of comics are just garbage people that want their voice heard, and they'll stop at anything to get it heard.
Yeah.
It's like this next person, Colin B.
Oh yeah, that guy's a hateful person. You should check out his other reviews. But yeah.
I
He's
have
a
not-
known hater,
Yeah.
regular
100%.
hater.
It was a while ago. What's the date
This
on
was
this?
9917.
Yeah.
Let me lead in. I'm usually a fan of Bandit Oak. Pretty good beer, nice patio, the works.
I love
But
how all of these start out with usually, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, where was the
Yeah.
positive?
I'm a
There's
good
a-
person.
Then there was a turn, a plot twist, if you will.
my opinion of them changed today. For my best friend's birthday, I organized a bar crawl down South Broadway.
I remember this one.
First up, I remember this too. First up, Bandit Oak, 12 p.m. sharp, right when they were
First up?
supposed to open. Really look forward to enjoying the Imperial Brown and Cornhole, which I hope is another beer.
Starts the bar crawl with
Yeah,
an
with
Imperial Brown.
Yeah. However,
Set the tone.
they weren't open. We waited for 25 minutes and nobody was on site. Really disappointed in the staff. Messed up our whole agenda for the original Urban 14er.
I'm gonna put the blame on my wife on this one actually.
Easy
That's
down.
100% correct.
Yeah, she was working the bar for us at the time, and she was shopping at Cherry Creek,
Okay.
and
Got a little held back.
well, she didn't know she was on the schedule, and
She's too busy spending all that brewing money you make.
yeah, and so she didn't show up for a shift. And,
She's from South America. Time's different, I think.
Yeah, it's Brazilian time.
yeah, it's Brazilian time, which is a real thing.
Yeah, that is.
It's 40 minutes.
It's like the wax. It's a lot smoother usually.
Yeah. You wait at 25. Brazilian time is 40 minutes, yeah, that's
When you find out, you're very excited. Yeah.
So, poor
I
guy.
mean,
Poor guy.
whatever. You also responded to this one. You said we had a good excuse to be late, which is honestly nobody's business.
Right.
What? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna start a bar crawl, it would be very helpful to let those bars know.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're planning on bringing 50 people into the establishment,
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
Yeah. Also,
it'd
I
be
didn't,
worse if it was COVID times. But yeah.
I didn't think about starting the fucking thing with Imperial Brown. That's also like fucking.
That's savage
Yeah.
as fuck.
Bananas for like
You
a
know,
I
Saturday
am gonna
beer.
puke by
Yeah.
2:45.
I was
Yeah.
ready to
14.
drink a 9% beer and throw a sandbag and a piece of plywood at noon.
Ruined
You
my life.
Fucking ruined it.
So I was really hoping one of our first negative reviews was a guy who actually still lives in the neighborhood.
Adam K. in Holland.
Exactly. And the guy came in. And I used to really, it's one of those, people say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That bullshit. Yeah. Do what you love and you'll take everything very personal, which is kind of my experience, at least in the beginning.
Sure.
And so I used to really look at the reviews and respond. And so a guy gave us a negative review. He was drunk. I talked to the bartender, all this kind of stuff. He comes in like 3 years later. And I remember. And I was like, what's going on, John? And he was like,
oh, you mean Joe? Because we'll bring it.
And he was with his girlfriend. It was John Oliver, because I like the comic.
Yeah.
And the funny part was my girlfriend was at the bar, and him and John and his girlfriend walk in, and I was like, oh, you gave us a 2-star or 1-star, and you said you were going to go down Broadway for your beers from now on, but I'm glad you came back.
Yeah.
And even the girlfriend
He's been
was
2
like,
blocks away for years.
She's like, this is awkward. And I'm like, no, this isn't awkward. He said something. I'm calling him out on it. And he said, it's just the whole like keyboard cowboy.
Yeah, you didn't do it. You didn't do anything wrong. So even her saying like, this is awkward. It's like, yeah, well, you made it. Like, you made it awkward.
It's his
fault.
fault.
It's not my fault for acknowledging
But it wasn't like aggressive. It was just like, hey, man, you gave us a negative review.
Yeah, you were mean about
I would love to change your opinion, and you can change that review.
You're actually, of all the reviews that I read, you were probably the best about being like, this is something I want to apologize. Like, let me make this up to you.
Totally. And no one has ever reached out.
No.
Really?
No. Because people are pieces of shit.
Can I read the review that I believe you're talking about?
Sure, go for it.
And I'm only assuming because you responded with "Hey John" when the user's name is Joe, not John.
Oh, was it really?
It's just Joe, J-O.
Oh, okay.
Well,
3
who's
years
the
ago.
idiot now?
Yeah,
That's why you never responded.
Probably had a couple whiskeys before and calm me down.
Yeah, that's the best way to start replying to reviews.
Hey, Billy.
Have a bottle of
I got
bourbon
something to
tea.
say.
Have a bottle of bourbon tea.
It says 2 stars. It was okay. I really don't care for the flavor of Chardonnay barrel on either the Belgian blonde or dark straw.
Wow, that's fucking picky as shit.
Just
I don't
something-
particularly care
No.
for the type
Wait
of
for
Chardonnay
this is
flavor.
good.
Just something off the interpretation of both styles from Belgium. Maybe some of the other beer is good, but just coming off of a 3-week trip to Belgium, I want to go
Different
there
guy.
for this style again. And you say, hey John, I'm sorry you didn't like our 2 Belgian offerings. Obviously, nobody can do Belgian beer better than the country that makes it.
Yeah.
Also, those beers were out of Cabernet barrels, not Chardonnay.
Like, in the nicest way possible, sucker dick.
So
I don't
maybe
know.
you were expecting something else different.
Well, especially because he went out of his way to like call out the barrel style and feel.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of seems like he's trying to make it a very nuanced review. You know, in terms of like, I'm being very specific here about what I
I
didn't
just
like,
got off a plane
and then he
from
didn't-
Antwerp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I need another Belgian beer now. And that's, so of course, you just came from the place where
Did
they
I really
literally
call
did
that guy a
this.
different name than his
Yeah,
name?
you did. You did.
Oh, that's a shame.
But
It
that's
seems
okay.
like that's not
I'm
the same
assuming
review.
that the next review was him.
Yeah, that's a different one though.
He went to IHOP and was like, "You call these Belgian waffles?"
International my ass. I've been in Belgium for 2 weeks.
I've got one more from Untapped. This is Leah H for the Goza, which Steve is enjoying right now, but I think a different version because this one isn't fruited at all. But not my type of beer. A tad sour.
Nailed it.
3 stars.
Perfect.
Crushed it.
Yeah, I think you nailed the written review.
Yeah.
And then the actual rating didn't correlate with what the beer was supposed to
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hopefully people pick up on
be.
it.
Chardonnay barrels.
Yes.
Chardonnay barrel too.
It was sour, and I wasn't expecting after ordering a sour beer.
Yeah.
Like,
This just becomes like a game for people, though. Like the whole game. I mean, that's the reason that the app has been successful as well. Is that they've turned it into the gamification where you get badges for
Right.
how often you review.
Totally. Yeah.
So you don't have like there's no. The thing that sucks is I just hate the disregard for how people use these and how it affects businesses, like small businesses,
Agreed.
right?
100%.
Where you put like a bad review down for something you don't really like, but that can gauge some people's opinion about whether or not they go to a place or not
Yeah.
But you just want a badge. You just want to level up.
Yep.
Right. And obviously that person is not familiar with the style. They don't know that style is what
They
it
were
is.
clearly looking for a goose.
Right.
over
That's
a
exactly
goose.
it.
Yeah.
Canadian
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't want to mansplain anything or just explain in general or over-explain or be a dick about it. But you want to make it as accessible as possible. And with Banded Oak, I get we've sort of pigeonholed ourselves into barrel aging and sort of.
Oh, you think so? Because I mean, I thought you guys made it out like you weren't doing the barrel. Like it wasn't one thing.
We try. But like the
That's
look.
a challenge, yeah.
The logo first assumption
Oh, yeah.
is like,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
a barrel.
Yes.
They only do barrel.
I did
aged.
when we did this. When I was telling Corey, I was like, Carrie, I was like, I think they just do barrel aged stuff, but I'm not totally sure.
Right.
In a perfect world, if money was no object, potentially we would. But the time it takes to be in a barrel and the different
yeah.
styles of beer that take barrels well, it's just not possible.
Totally.
And so that was the pipe dream that I first kind of came up with. And then as we kind of, not everyone wants a barrel aged. And that's just is what it is.
Right.
I just remember when Black Sherry came out, they did all reds.
Mm-hmm.
And they've obviously diversified since then. But like, if someone walks in the door, I'm like, cool, I drink everything but reds. What do you got?
Yeah.
Like,
But then at that point, you just got to be all in. And like, we're only something to certain people, or we're just doing it so well that like
Totally.
we're gonna bend you to our will to a certain degree. Because Black Project's in that boat a little bit, where they
Totally.
they're basically on the spontaneous fermentation train at this point, and
Yep.
the barrel aging stuff. So that's what they do. But they do it incredibly well. Like the stuff that
And they
we've
create
had,
hype amazingly well.
And the stuff that I've had from them, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much on point with anything that I've had from the country of origin. Like that you would
Yep.
deem this to be like spontaneous ale or whatever
Oh, yeah.
you want to call it.
Casey
so.
too. Casey, I mean,
Yeah.
They're doing something even different. Like,
Casey
up there,
came from Coors.
yeah,
Coors.
and he doesn't do
And-
any lagers.
And he doesn't do any of that anymore. Now he's strictly doing his, barrel projects and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is a huge jump for him, I think.
Yeah. I will say that, like, in a way, like, I wish that, like, one of my parents was a comedian and could have taught me all the stuff to know about comedy beforehand. Like, that's a huge fucking advantage. And there's a local comic that has that, and it's just gonna be so fucking nice to have that knowledge ingrained in you at a young age.
I
But
don't
on
know.
the
I mean, I
flip
think
side-
like Pauly Shore though. I mean, like his mom ran Comedy Store.
Right? Yeah.
And like, he was kind of huge at a time, but like, just.
But he's still making a killing doing comedy. Like, you don't realize it. That's the thing. Is like, he relies on like mid to low level comics to get him from the airport to any club that he's working. Most of the time, not always, but like the dude is still like making not even off of the money he made from the movies, like off his stand up alone. I would kill to make that much money off
he's
of.
making a
Oh,
ton.
for sure.
Just
It's just
like-
that name in general.
But you're also living. Like, one tough part is, at a certain point, you want to be your own.
Are you saying Wheezing the Juice isn't your style, buddy?
It was just so pigeonholed. Like, I love Bottom, Son-in-Law, like all those things
Yeah,
were
yeah.
good in their time, but they just didn't age well, like
Sure.
at all.
Yeah.
It's not that. But that's it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is got to be hard from being like a brewer like Casey is you're living in the shadow a little bit.
Yeah, you have to live up to
Somebody
that
else
hype.
does, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
totally.
let down when we went out there, and I was like, oh, you don't do lagers? I
Yeah.
feel like you would know so much about that thing that you would do them exceptionally well or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's paved his own way, but you're kind of always living under the shadow, much like the comic that you're referring to, where
Yeah.
they're
No, totally.
always kind of living under the shadow of their father,
Right.
and they're always kind of like trying to live up to that. So yeah, you got the experience, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder to make a name for yourself, I think, sometimes at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much even the making a name. It's literally just to have the knowledge passed down.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. Is like,
As a worm turns, and you're like, well, it's gonna turn.
Yeah, yeah.
Like something's gonna happen, and you're gonna have to change yours.
Totally.
Something
Yeah.
about this, and Casey. So I mean, he worked for AC Golden.
Right.
The first time I ever talked to Casey, that's all he talked about was like lagers. hey, I want to talk to you about loggers.
Let's
And
talk
I was
about
at GD,
loggers.
and he's like, and we were making a Haas at the time. He's like, this is a really good logger. Like, tell me about like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, shit, Casey, I don't know. You know, like, here's what we're doing. And then he told me, you know, how he's, you know, doing his projects over at AC Golden.
Wait, Haas was a lager?
Haas lager.
God,
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I thought it was like a porter or some shit.
What?
No,
Just a
Haas
rye-
is
It's
a
been a long
rye
time.
lager, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Rye lager?
Crazy.
Rye lager.
It's a Marzen.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Yep. And yeah, and I would guarantee you that 80% of the projects that Troy Casey worked on at AC Golden never saw the light of day.
Of course.
Yeah, because that's
Of course.
what they put out. What, you know, was like the big sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even what he's doing with his sours out there, it's not necessarily a traditional lambic or anything. It gets very fruit forward, and it still mostly saison yeast, which is what we learned from doing the show. Is that it's not doing. He has cool ships there, but it's really not a lot of what he's doing is cool ship based. Like that's still something that he's trying to work
Fruit
towards.
wild and-
yeah, it's just but yeah, the committing to just doing an open fermentation sour program or barrel program or whatever. Like that's you're committing to.
It's a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, people haven't really mentioned it recently, but like when we kind of price out, you know, our barrel aged stuff, people are like, I'm going to spend $10 on a beer, and it's like, yeah.
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 Sorry,
I
I
got
a lot of
yesterday,
TLC
like-
went into that. Like,
Yeah.
this is in a barrel for like 8 to 10 months. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it's going to cost.
Hard to conceptualize, but yeah, you look at a wine, it's like, well, that's been, you know,
Which
same amount
especially
of time, and
in a place like Colorado, like come on, that should be pretty par for the course.
It hasn't
when,
happened
like
in a
where
long
the beer
time.
community
Yeah.
is like, yes, this is a very developed beer community. People understand that craft beer, certain beers cost more money,
yep.
right?
Oh yeah.
You would think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, you know, the menu is very self-explanatory. I think there are some places that take advantage of gouging for what they have.
Sure.
Oh,
That's industry wide, yeah.
Yeah, and if you are, you know, feeling good and you're, you know, 3-4 beers deep and you're going to buy a couple of drinks for people and then you get that kind of bill, you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a price shock. But yeah, we try to.
Well, I fucking hate it when places don't put the price with the beer.
Yeah.
That's
Can
one
we
of
put
my
market
biggest-
price? Can we put market price?
Yeah, it's like lobster.
Yeah. It varies. You know, you never know.
Well, it should be on the menu.
Totally,
You know, right? Like it
100%.
should at least be on the fucking menu, like how much this beer
Absolutely.
costs. Like,
Right.
the ABV, the pour size, and the price.
This
should
8-ounce
always
pour
be-
is $24. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it always-
Super rare.
It really
Yeah, I gotta
bothers me
try
when
that.
places don't put the price on the menu. You're like, don't.
weird, yeah.
Like, why are you
That is
asking?
weird.
Why are you putting it on me to ask
Yeah.
what the price is? So I
Yeah.
sound like an asshole. It's like, no, I'm just trying to like navigate my way through this menu.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been to a place.
If you have to ask, it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. CJ.
Yeah,
Right. Well, hey, we're really grateful for the time
Yeah,
that you
thank
guys
you
have given
guys.
us. Thank
Absolutely.
you so
It's
much.
been a good
blast.
time.
It's been super fun.
Anytime.
And yeah, we just love to have we just love to talk to like local beer people and to see what you guys got going on. So, is there anything you want to plug? Anything new releases or events you got coming up that you wanna talk about other than the rotating tap comedy show we'll plan in the future?
Maybe blonde.
Yeah, we got some blonde coming out of Stranahan. Stranahan's
Got another blonde joke to end the show.
Colorado
Whiskey barrels.
Yes.
A blonde and whiskey barrels.
Yes.
Okay, what's the reasoning behind
Yeah.
that?
The blonde is for us, and Chris, you know, made this beer unbelievably well. It's a light beer that ages unbelievably well. We've done it in Chardonnay, we've done it in Pinot, we've done it in Cabernet.
It's a great base for
Great
whatever
base.
you want the barrel to impart.
It soaks up color from whatever barrel it's in, and we just happen to put it in whiskey for the first time this year. And you know, another thing that I really love is you know, tasting beer throughout its kind of life.
Yeah.
And pulling nails and
So
tasting room temperature flat beer, and it tasting really good.
Yeah.
Where you're like, when this is cold and carbonated, like,
This is gonna
holy
kill.
Yeah.
shit, this is gonna be amazing. And so yeah, this blonde is gonna be super good.
It's like having a joke do well before it's ready. You're like,
Yeah.
God, this is gonna crush
This is gonna
eventually. This is
destroy.
gonna be the hardest.
And then sometimes they bomb.
Yeah, could be, yeah. You get it cold, you get it carved, and that sucks. But.
So you've got a whiskey barrel aged blonde that's coming out. When can we expect that to be released?
That should be around spring, early summer.
Oh, okay. Long plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna long plug.
We're thinking about just kind of figuring out how to put it in the bottles.
Yeah, okay.
We are, like I said, changing up our brew house situation a little bit, and so that's kind of stay tuned for more of that. We'll have more inside seating because we're very lacking, kind of slammed here. We have 2 tables inside, and we're trying to be as safe as possible. COVID, all this kind of stuff.
Of course.
But no, it'll be good.
So people can come here and have a beer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we have, like I said, 2 tables inside. Wintertime is catching up with us this weekend, so it'll be snowy for a while after this.
This will be out right after the cold snap, so it'll be warm by the time people.
Oh, okay.
We'll be warming up a little bit by
good.
the time people are
Yes,
getting it.
we'll probably have a show. Stay tuned to Insta or Facebook because we will do another. If there is 4 or 5 days of sun, we'll have another concert outside.
Yeah,
for sure.
great.
Well, yeah.
You know what I want to plug is Flightco Brewing Company
Yep.
has a live rotating tap comedy show this Wednesday, the 17th,
Correct.
as well as Oscar Blues in Boulder, the 21st.
Also correct.
Great shows.
I mean, is it really going to hurt to plug?
Shane Torres, hell no.
Yeah, Shane Torres is going to be on both shows. We're pretty stoked to have him
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. He's so funny. If you have not heard of Shane Torres, you actually have. Just look him up and you'll see his.
Well, I
famous
told you.
So
comedy.
the Guy Fieri,
Yeah, the Guy Fieri bit.
Yeah.
And that's such a good bit because that was on like
so
a
good.
Conan, right?
Yeah.
It was
That he
Conan.
was like super known for. That was
Which is a great
amazing.
bit.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'm still talking about
But he's
this
so
person.
good outside of that too. Like
Oh,
he's
for sure.
so
That's what he's
fucking
known
funny.
for. He's got some of my favorite bits. He's a great guy to
Yeah.
work with.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked. It's just nice to have some shows on the books because
Absolutely.
we were working towards a transition plan from when we were doing 5 monthly shows outdoor over the summer.
Yeah.
And then we were like, all right, we got to shut these down because the weather's changing. And then we were looking for good venues to work with that could potentially host some stuff indoors, with safety compliance, capacity, and all that shit. So the fact that we can do that now because everything got shut down completely when we were in the building phase of that is really exciting. We're just happy to bring comedy back.
And to bring it back in such a fucking harsh way. And by harsh, I mean like cool harsh.
Oh, okay.
I mean like
You're so hip.
fucking taking your fucking father's unfiltered cigarette packs and fucking smoking the whole thing outside
Yeah,
of
that's
school.
fat. That's fat.
Fucking harsh, bud. Harsh.
So check out the website and subscribe to our newsletter for all the updates on shows that we have going on and coming up. We've got a couple other things cooking that we're really stoked about, and we're just super grateful to be here, and thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
This has been a blast.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
guys.
Go Chuckle Puckers.
Solid time.
Here, you want to get that?
Oh yeah. Oh
Man, you didn't have to pee this whole time.
I know. I was like.